Are you an owner of a small or medium-sized enterprise? Are you a private individual? Or a farmer looking to make sustainability investments? Do you want to upgrade your car fleet to zero-emission vehicles? Make your buildings accessible for people with disabilities, including digital infrastructure. Install solar panels on your roof. Produce energy-efficient equipment. Switch to recycled materials, or improve the water efficiency on your farm? For these and many other impactful aspirations, your local bank could help, thanks to support from the EU. Climate, environmental and social challenges require diverse solutions and financing. Everyone can help mitigate climate change, make a positive impact on the environment, and remove barriers for participation faced by persons with disabilities. From household energy efficiency upgrades to ecosystem restoration projects. The EU wants to support all sustainability investments, big or small. And let's be real, there's no single way to make things better for our planet. If you have an investment project that would benefit the environment or ensure accessibility for persons with disabilities, visit the Access to Finance website to find your local bank, which can provide you with more information and details on how to get lending. For information about InvestEU projects in your country, visit the InvestEU website. Let's make a positive impact for a sustainable future.
Syvä motivaatio tulee jostain sisältä. Se on kai sitä sitten yrittäjyyttä.
Kyllä sellainen sisäinen palo on syy siihen, että aamuisin herää aikaisin ja jaksaa tehdä sinänsä pitkää päivää. Toisaalta kysymys on varmaan siitä, että työ mitä tekee on tosi mielenkiintoista.
Big Data tulee varmasti muuttamaan maailmaa. Terveydenhuollossa ongelmana ei ole, että dataa ei olisi riittävästi. Haaste on se, että miten se saadaan tuntumaan ja näyttämään ymmärrettävältä ja järkevältä. PCP Medical on terveydenhuollon IT-alan yritys, joka kehittää tietojärjestelmiä hoidon laadun ja vaikuttavuuden seurantaan.
Stadioni, missä vähän päästä ollaan, niin on meidän Upittaan stadionin, jossa tavallaan monet sukupolvet on pelanneet hienoissa joukkueissa. Ja on ollut hieno tarina, että olen itse mukana siinä. Jos ajattelisit jalkapallon jälkeistä elämää, niin varmaan tärkeimmät asiat, mitä jalkapallosta jäi, oli joukkuehenki, team spirit, asenne, never give up -tyyppinen asenne, että peli ei ole ikinä loppuun ennen kuin tuomari on viheltänyt. Tavallaan niitä asioita pyrkyn ehkä tuomaan tiedostetusti tai tiedostamatta työelämään.
Did you ever score a goal in the stadium?
No. I was a half center. Don't even ask.
Suurin haaste yrityksen perustamisessa oli varmaan uskallus ryhtyä siihen. Toisaalta startup-hengessä usko ja toivo ylittävät realismin ja sitten aletaan painamaan eteenpäin. Omien kokemuksien perusteella vinkit muille yrittäjille perustuvat varmaan pitää uskoa itseensä, pitää uskoa oman asiansa, koskaan ei voi antaa periksi. Ja loppujen lopuksi pitää saada ympärilleen ihmisiä, jotka auttavat sinua eteenpäin. Petteri Viljanen, PCP Medicalin toimitusjohtaja.
What do you see? A little spark, slowly growing bigger, lighting up the dark. Imagine what it could be. What do you see? A robot that feels, sustainable fiber, or software that captures the world in 3D. Wood and wind turbines, transparent solar panels, reinventing the way we use our energy. A tiny idea, so crazy it's hard to believe. An invention with the intention to change the world drastically. It's something we would love to see. So tell us what you need to reimagine, to reinvent the world. We can give you a place where unicorns are born. You can chase your dreams, helping hands, machinery, bigger plans, or just a chance to show the world something they haven't seen. So, what do you see?
Culture essentially is a catalyst that triggers a variety of positive effects in the society, like innovation, free self-expression, jobs and purpose. But culture is definitely also a glue for different social groups to meet, interact and have a common purpose. In the bigger scheme of things, our vision is to use culture in service of the society. I'm Helen Sildna, the director of Shiftworks in Tallinn, Estonia. Shiftworks essentially is using creative tools and clever curation to bring positive impact in the society. And we do that mainly through the two festivals that we promote, Tallinn Music Week and Station Narva, but also other cultural events, productions and communication projects. In a way, our festivals are like a way to show a spotlight onto what is happening in the society. Tallinn Music Week, of course, is the biggest venture that we do in our company that takes 70% of our annual budget. And there are months when we do need bridge funding to be able to balance out the financial obligations throughout the years. So essentially what was really needed by us and what thankfully is now available due to European support measures is exactly that type of bridge funding. Unfortunately, it is not easy to get a regular loan from a bank. We wouldn't be a very attractive candidate or a client because in their eye, we lack assets in its traditional sense. We don't own property, we don't have financial assets like this. And in general, I think our sector needs to be better in describing the value that we create in the society. In the end, this EU support gives us the opportunity to have peace of mind and actually do what we do the best.
Ladies and gentlemen, very good morning to all of you and welcome to the EU Finance Day 2023 for Finland. It's really exciting to be here today in Helsinki, in this very beautiful city. And it's very nice to see so many people here in the room. It's almost packed. I hope we'll be able to take advantage from the opportunity to talk with each other and with networking. But I also want to thank the online participants that I know there are a lot of them who are in front of the screen and are watching our web stream. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Armando Melone. I work in the Access to Finance unit in the European Commission's Department for Internal Market, Industry, Entrepreneurship and SME, DG GROW, and I will be your moderator for the day. Well, we have a very full morning today with many excellent speakers. We will present the InvestEU fund and its windows, including also the InvestEU Advisory Hub and the portal. But we also hear about the implementation of InvestEU, the debt and equity products offered in Finland by our implementing partners, European Investment Fund, European Investment Bank, the local partner Finvera, and the local experiences. And we will touch upon funding opportunities also beyond the InvestEU. So we'll touch upon the European Innovation Council for startups and SMEs. And last but not least, we will share with you insights on the Single Market Program Enterprise Europe Network as an advisory for small businesses in Finland. So we are absolutely thrilled to be here in Helsinki with you, but also with online participants. So just some technical aspects. We are providing some simultaneous interpretations from Finnish to English and reverse. And just would like to thank the interpreters for their precious job today. The participants here in the room can use the headsets and the earplugs for changing, while the online participant can just select the preferred language in the toolbar at the bottom of the streaming window. The event will be recorded, so will be made available after the event, and the presentations are already available in the website of the event. And finally, but very important, after the event we will be sending a short survey via email so that we can improve for the next event. So thank you again for participating in the survey, and without wasting much time, I would like to welcome our first speaker, who is Astrid Bartels, who is Head of Unit Access to Finance at the European Commission, DG Internal Market, Industry, Entrepreneurship and SMEs. And Astrid, please come here, the floor is yours.
Okay. Thank you, Armando. Hyvää huomenta. It's a great pleasure to be with you here today in Finland on this beautiful day and to present to you the InvestEU program and other very relevant initiatives at European level. This event is part of a series of events that we started last year. Due to COVID last year, we only did it online, and this year we decided we need to switch. We need to go at least hybrid to meet people on the ground, because we find this is much more effective and also invites a lot more communication. The objective of our EU Finance Days is to provide you with in-depth and also more technical explanations of how programs work. And it builds on an event that took place last year here in April, where the EIB group officially launched the InvestEU program in Finland. I would warmly like to thank the colleagues here from the European Commission representation for hosting us today. And my appreciation also goes to colleagues from the EIB group who helped to organize this event, and also to our contractor who is trying to support us technically here. And already up front, a big thanks to all the speakers we will have today. Ladies and gentlemen, we are very well aware of all the challenges that Europe is facing today. We lived through the COVID pandemic, which was the test to our economies. And then immediately thereafter, the war in Ukraine began, which, in addition to human tragedies, led to an energy crisis and also risk to our supply chains. We will hopefully soon reach the post-war period, which will require massive rebuilding efforts and including support for trade-related activities. But at the same time, we also need to urgently address the climate change challenge and strengthen the competitiveness and resilience of the EU's net zero industry. The EU Green Deal is our new economic model. We have collectively embarked on a road towards a net zero emission economy by 2050. Getting there is certainly full of challenges, but stopping or reversing is not an option. This year, the Commission proposed the Critical Raw Materials Act, the Net Zero Industry Act, and in the summer, the Strategic Technologies for Europe platform, so-called STEP, to scale up manufacturing of clean technologies in the EU and make sure that the Union is well equipped for the clean energy transition. As regards SME finance, the survey on access to finance for enterprises, which the Commission runs annually together with the European Central Bank, we've been observing for years that external finance is of crucial importance. 82% of European SMEs say that access to debt finance is relevant for their company. And for Finland, the relevance of external debt finance is the highest in all of the EU. 93% of SMEs say they rely on external debt finance. But then still half of European SMEs say that access to finance has deteriorated in the last year, and that they are faced with higher interest rates and stronger collateral requirements from the banks. All of this shows that access to finance and investing in the right policy priorities has become more important than ever. In addition to the recovery support for the EU economy, medium and longer-term targeted investment must be aligned with today's priorities. Equally important is that such focused public investments at EU and national level attract and crowd in private investments. In this context, the InvestEU has been one of the Commission's flagship programs to help address the investment needs. It builds on the successful model of the European Fund for Strategic Investments, called EFSI, and a plethora of financial instruments that we had in the last funding period. The InvestEU program is on track towards mobilizing over 370 billion in public and private resources in the EU economy in the coming years. It's a program that de-risked financing for financial institutions so that they are able to finance projects that they can then also attract other public and private investments. As for Finland, I'm actually delighted that the InvestEU program is up and running. Banks in Finland, such as Finnvera and Nordea, are working with the European Investment Fund to facilitate access to finance for Finnish SMEs for sustainability, innovation and digitalization. And also equity financing for Finnish startups supported by the InvestEU program features prominently. Finland, as a member state, has also decided to use national funding and a portion of its EU cohesion policy allocation for the so-called member state compartment of InvestEU, which means that even more resources are available for Finnish SMEs. And you'll hear today in more detail how these things work. But allow me to conclude by pointing out that this year we celebrate 30 years of the European single market. We are proud of this achievement, which makes everyday life easier for European citizens and businesses and creates jobs and growth in the EU. Our single market is much more than just a legal framework or just a market. With 447 million citizens, 23 million businesses, 18% of global GDP, it's the world's largest integrated single market. As such, it's offering plenty of opportunities also to you, Finnish businesses and financial operators. Moreover, our Enterprise Europe network, from which you will also hear today, is the world's largest support network for SMEs, and it also celebrates 15 years of existence this year. So you will hear about their activities later on. So I wish all of you a very informative morning, an interesting event. Kiitos.
Thank you very much, Astrid, for the welcoming remarks. We are now very pleased to have you here, the Deputy Head of the Commission representation here in Helsinki, Ms. Maria Kokkonen. Please, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Armando. Good morning, everybody, ladies and gentlemen. It is my pleasure, too, to welcome numerous key colleagues from Brussels, our partners in Helsinki, and of course, our audience participants here in Europa House and everybody online. So welcome to the EU Finance Days edition 2023. Armando introduced me, so I'm Maria Kokkonen and I work as the Deputy Head of Representation here in Helsinki. I am particularly pleased to open today's InvestEU event here in Finland, the country that contributed greatly to the predecessor program, the Juncker Plan. Finland has been often bigger than its size in making Europe more competitive and attractive for investments and innovation, and we are glad to see that the trend continues. Last year, the EIB President Hoyer launched the InvestEU roadshow here in Finland, and he emphasized the need to speed up green investments. The developments of the past year have shown that these investments are ever more urgent to safeguard Europe's positioning in today's turbulent world. Finland is a global leader in clean tech, and the additional loan guarantees that are made possible by the InvestEU are much appreciated in this small export-oriented country, as evidenced by signing agreements worth of hundreds of millions of euros with Finnish intermediaries. Finland's startup scene is also vibrant. To put it modestly, Finland hosts the world's biggest startup event Slash every year here, attracting both innovators and investors from all over the world. Therefore, the opportunities under the European Innovation Council and the Single Market Programme have a very eager audience here too. In countries like Finland, that is hungry and ready for new investments, as we have seen in the scale of energy sector investments in the very recent past, the absorption capacity of funds is also quite high. Therefore, the Commission's recent proposal to increase the guarantee capacity for InvestEU by 3 billion euros through the STEP, the Strategic Technologies for Europe platform for investments in deep and digital clean and biotechnologies, would certainly also find a fertile ground here in Finland. So, this event is very timely, and I would like to thank you once again for your interest in joining us today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Maria, and thanks for the rep for this great support of the event today. Now I would like to invite Mr. Jani Peitikainen, head of the EIB Group Office in Finland, to deliver his welcome note. Jani, the floor is yours.
Hyvää huomenta minun puolestani. Nyt vaihdetaan toiseen EUn viralliseen kieleen, eli suomeen. Lämpimästi tervetuloa minun puolestani. Olen Jaani Pietikäinen Helsingin
I would like to wish you a warm welcome to Finland. EIB has an office in Finland. We have 6 people working there.
EIB-ryhmän.
And a significant part of the financing of EIB is managed in Helsinki. And of course, we have the headquarters in Luxembourg who give support, of course, and the legal experts, engineers, and risk management expert work there. And we use, of course, all their help when we use our finance instruments. So the EIB group and the investment fund, they create this funding agency, which is owned by 27 member states, and it's been working since 1958. Since we are the European Bank, it is natural that we are close to the European Commission. We are close partner to the EU Commission when we implement the EU funding programs. And InvestEU is currently our most important program. The EIB group implements out of this 75% of its group, which amounts to 25 million euro guarantees for this multi-financial framework. The bank invests projects that are aligned with the EU objectives. We have priorities which we analyze, which we look at, and which we monitor as we make our financing decisions. And a good example of this is Repower EU, this program, which was created after the attack by Russia in 2022. And the target is to reduce our dependency on Russian energy and in general on fossil fuels. The management board of the bank decided that we would add financing to our energy sector by 2027 by 44 billion euros. This is a good example of how the Commission and the member states work together. They make policy decisions together, and the bank
On hyvä
supports them with their financing. It is important to remember that EU investment program is a market-based financing program where
unioni
the EU guarantees
niin sanottu
the activity of the intermediary banks. So the EU guarantees the financing decisions made by the intermediaries, but the products that are offered under the EU framework are market-based, market criteria-based. Many other programs in the EU are support programs, such as Horizon Europe, for instance, which gives grants. But today's event is about financing. We are talking today about Invest EU. We were talking about this during the morning, and this is a market criteria-based instrument. As Maria said, Finland has participated very actively in the creation of Invest EU and its predecessors, and of course Finland is also a beneficiary of these programs.
Ilmassa, joka oli
The FC program, which was ESIR in Finnish, it was the funding for strategic programs in the EU, and Finland was amongst the 10 best countries when receiving funds. The Invest EU program has been launched with success, especially the beginning was very successful, and the guarantees from the European Investment Fund have been working very well since the very beginning, and they have been very popular. There has been a lot of demand for them, and we will talk a bit more about this further on. Nevertheless, it's important to remember that investors, financiers, they offer financing, which can be equity financing or which can be external capital financing. But at the end of the day, it is the companies who implement the projects, be it the green transition or digitalization or sustainability or innovation or whatever important matter for the EU. We can offer financing, but you are the ones who implement the projects, you make them reality. And that is what creates transformation and changes in reality, in practice, and which guarantees a bright future for the EU. We would like to talk with you about these different instruments in more detail. We have several experts here, and I warmly welcome you to have discussions and to pose questions. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Jani. Thank you very much, Maria. Thank you very much, Astrid, for your opening speeches. So we are entering now into the first session of our event today, where my commission colleagues will present to you the InvestEU program. So I welcome the 5 speakers of the next session to join the sitting. Astrid, could you sit there? Thanks. So the first speaker now is Ramona Ocak. Ramona is a policy officer in the Director General for Economic and Financial Affairs at the European Commission. She has been mainly involved in the setup of and the governance of the new InvestEU program. And Ramona will tell us about an overview of InvestEU. So Ramona, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Armando, and thanks a lot for the invitation to be here in Helsinki. It's really a pleasure to introduce you the InvestEU program. I would like to give you a general overview of the InvestEU program, and my colleagues will give you further details on the different windows and the implementation of InvestEU. So the InvestEU is part of the Next Generation EU program, an 800 billion program of the European Union. And together with the Recovery and Resilience Facility, it helps to move to our green and digital transition. It also supports research, innovation, and development. It supports smaller projects and thus boosts our startup ecosystem in Europe. But also it helps in the current situation to mitigate our economic consequences and crisis with Repower EU that InvestEU is supporting, but also social projects. It also supports the Green Deal Industrial Plan, the Strategic Technologies for Europe platform, the STEP initiative, and also the European Critical Raw Materials Act. So InvestEU has 4 policy windows. It's the Sustainable Infrastructure window, the biggest, with 9.9 billion euros in EU guarantee. Then we have the SME window with 6.9 billion of EU guarantee. We also have projects in research, innovation, and digitization, which account for 6.6 billion in EU guarantee. And last but not least, we also have the social investment and skills window with 2.8 billion in EU guarantee. And my colleagues will also give you further details on these different policies that InvestEU is divided into. So the InvestEU program consists of 3 components: the InvestEU fund, the InvestEU advisory hub, and the InvestEU portal. I will provide you with an overview of all these 3 components here in this presentation. So we start with the InvestEU fund, which is the most important component of the InvestEU program. As Astrid already outlined, it brings together the previous different programs of the EU under one roof. We have a EU budget guarantee of 26.2 billion euros in total in order to mobilize more than 372 billion in additional investments across the EU, and thereby we would like to attract public and private investment. And it's very important that InvestEU is not providing grants. It only provides loans, equity, and guarantees. The InvestEU program is implemented via our partners, which are across the EU, with the EIB group as our major partner, with implementing 75% of the EU guarantee. But also we have other implementing partners, the EBRD, Council of Europe Development Bank, and NIP, which is also presenting today the InvestEU program. So we also count on national promotional banks as other implementing partners, how we call them, for the fund. So the projects are approved by an independent investment committee that is approving the budget guarantee for these projects. The key figures here that you see are not accurate anymore. So InvestEU is really up and running and changing a lot since I have sent my presentation to Armando. We have now 12.5 billion euros in EU guarantee amount approved. We have more than 100 projects approved, or InvestEU operations, including framework operations. We have 13 implementing partners, so we have now InvestNL and Garantica from the Netherlands and Hungary as new implementing partners, and we have 6 advisory partners. So on our website, I would like to invite you, if you're interested in these operations that InvestEU is supporting, to have a look under the InvestEU fund. You can see all the projects that have been approved by the investment committee. And as you see here on the right, you can also filter it by country, for example, or sector that you're interested in. So these projects, as I outlined before, support important policy initiatives of the Commission. So, for example, the STEP or the Green Deal Industrial Plan, or also REPowerEU, which are very important policy initiatives currently. So we, under InvestEU, have very large and innovative projects, high-risk projects. We also support SMEs with sustainable guarantees, clean tech, and also climate tech projects in order to support new green technologies, but also projects in energy efficiency, decarbonization of the industry, renewable energy projects, circular economy, and also smart mobility projects. We also support sustainable infrastructure, of course, clean energy and digital technologies. And all these projects support, of course, these very important policy initiatives. So, as Astrid outlined, Finland is already well on track with projects. So here I would like to give you the first two examples that we have. For example, the clean energy transition project from NIP. So it's a project supporting renewable energy, for example, in biomass projects, but also solar, hydro, and offshore energy production. Then we also have the Usaldusfond from the EIF that is supporting the digital transition of the EU. Also, the EIF has signed an agreement with Finnvera to support small businesses in Finland in order to mobilize 280 million euros in investment to SMEs that support the digital transition, so especially the green and transition, and also innovation and digitization. That brings me to the second component of InvestEU, which is the InvestEU Advisory Hub. So the Advisory Hub is providing technical support or advisory assistance to projects in every project life cycle. So that means in the identification or preparation of a project, the development and structuring, but also the procurement and implementation of the project. But it also helps in the capacity building of the project, and thus helps in the entire life cycle of a project. The InvestEU Advisory Hub is also centralized, so making it easy for interested project promoters to submit their request via a central entry point that is managed by the Commission and then sent to our different advisory partners to have a look at the requests. Here the heading should read InvestEU Advisory Hub for Finland. The figures are correct, however. So with the EIA, which was the predecessor of the InvestEU Advisory Hub under EFSI, in total we had 26 advisory requests for Finland, out of which 6 turned out into detailed advisory support. And now for the InvestEU Advisory Hub, we already have received 8 advisory requests that are currently analyzed by our partners. From our 6 advisory partners that we have in total for the InvestEU program, 3 are active in Finland, which are the EIB, but also EBRD and SEP. And last but not least, the third component of the InvestEU program is the InvestEU portal that brings together EU-based project promoters with worldwide investors. So it provides matchmaking opportunities for SME startups, but also bigger companies in order to find private investment. On the portal, we have published more than 40 projects from Finland. And 5 of them have even received a Seal of Excellence certificate, which proves high quality project in the research sector. So we have 2 examples here. Puppet, which is operating in the health industry, that has developed an app to analyze the medication of patients. And also Ehlering, that is constructing a gas pipeline between Estonia and Finland. And here I would like to give the floor to my colleague Zlatko for more details in the sustainable infrastructure window.
Thank you very much, Ramona. Warm welcome to all of you. It's really a pleasure to be here and to give you a zoom in the biggest, in terms of EU guarantee amount, policy window, that's the sustainable infrastructure window under the InvestEU program. For those of you who are working with the European Commission directly, they would already know how important and how relevant is the policy for the InvestEU. It is even more important for those who deliver the projects, because this is where, at the end, the results materialize. But as a difference from its predecessor, FC, under InvestEU, the principle is that policy drives first. And that's why already you have heard those elements in the previous presentation, which directly refer to the sustainable infrastructure window in terms of policy priorities. And what were they? The Repower EU, the irreversible path towards implementing the Green Deal. Of course, InvestEU being one of the programs that helps in the energy crisis. Now, when we were conceiving the program, we were putting our policies on the basis, and then we went further to discuss with implementing partners the products that would result in delivering this on the ground. One example in this slide is the Fit for 55 package, which aimed to reduce the CO2 emission by 55% by 2030 in a fair, cost-efficient, and competitive way. And this hive that you see on the screen, it really compiles various pieces of EU legislation which come together to achieve this objective. But then without the financing, without the projects, we would be obviously nowhere. The sustainable infrastructure window is as big as in terms of policy priorities, perhaps as other windows. Why? Because also maybe the needs on the ground are huge on one side. Also because InvestEU is a demand-driven program. We are not, as my colleague said, we're not there with the grants. So we have really a number of policy objectives, a number of key principles to mention. Again, if these are to be summarized with 3 words, I would be speaking about green, digital, and strategic investments. And then one would ask, okay, can you illustrate for us a bit deeper what do you mean by green investments? Under this policy window, well, under InvestEU, the overall ambition for climate and environmental objective is to reach 30%, which is understandable given that the investments cover different policy areas. Here, given that the ambition is towards green sustainability, we are going towards 60% achievement of and contribution to the climate and environmental targets. And then you would ask, but how this can be ensured throughout the implementation? Well, for the bigger projects, we have designed this sustainability proofing, but further and beyond, there are various elements that can ensure delivery on the green objectives. later on in the EF presentation. I'm sure you'd hear, and maybe some of you already know the sustainability guarantee, the very ambitious criteria that we pursue towards green. EIB being the climate bank with the ambitious climate objectives is further contributing. The Northern Investment Bank coming with the renewable energy projects. All this is about green. But sustainable infrastructure window is also about the delivery of digital and what we call with a single word strategic priorities. For example, this deployment of future technology, the 5G connectivity, the investments in critical infrastructure, and in sectors going in the area of defense, space, cybersecurity. My slides are illustrative. They're meant to stay with you for a reference, for those who would need them. This slide simply illustrates further to the in more details the policy objectives, also the numerous final recipients that we target. And indeed, we allow for standalone project promoters. We allow for projects by private, public, semi-public enterprises, SPVs, literally wide range of actors. I have one slide for the products of our main implementing partner, who has 75% of the InvestEU guarantee, the EIB group. Ideally, if I had the day, and I wish I had the day for this presentation, we could have gone through the products of the other implementing partners as well. You'd hear a lot later on through a separate intervention about the EAF products. For the EIB products, I could briefly mention that the ones that are active are two. These are the general debt product, and then the thematic product, which we are co-financing together with the research window, with the research policy window. So you'd ask, okay, two products, what's the difference? The thematic product essentially takes investments which are way riskier, and there the level of the guarantee is higher. I've also listed the two advisory components that we are having, and thanks to which InvestEU can also deliver some technical support in number of sectors, including in energy efficiency under Elena. Here I just listed our other implementing partners in the order of signature of the respective guarantee agreements, and really very much looking to see the implementation picking up. And we come to my last slide, where the website which Ramona mentioned, which we have with the InvestEU projects, lists all of them. These are selected from there. Each project is interesting. I would love to speak about all of them. The Palermo-Catania Railway project comes really nice. We come across this project over and over again for various reasons, especially now recently we again had a look on it. I mean, a counter guarantee from InvestEU plus an EIB loan allowed of much lower level, allowed the mobilization of total cost of 7.6 billion euro. So there is huge component from recovery and resilience facility also embedded here. InvestEU is not everything, but InvestEU sort of triggers investments. Then we have the project Kosiani, which in the context of energy crisis and in a poor Greek region delivers these 3 solar photovoltaic plants. And then we have really an important project for Poland, which is about the deployment of fiber optic network, which serves people, which serves also currently underserved areas and which increase the capacity. Time is precious. I stop here and I hand over to my colleague. Please.
Eli hei kaikille. Mä esittelen teille tänään InvestEUn sosiaalisten investointien ja osaamisen ikkunan.
Hello, I would like to present to you the social investment window. First of all, I would like to have an overview to this social window. So first of all, I would like to say that this social window supports such projects which aim to strengthen the social dimension and according to the social pillar of the EU, and there are 20 principles, and the target and the objective is to improve the well-being of citizens and the working conditions of EU citizens. And this social window has these 3 priorities, which you can see here on the slide. So microfinance, social enterprises, social impact and innovation. And then there is the second priority, which is education, training and skills. And the third one is about social infrastructure. And it includes these elements, which you can see here on the slide. And also this climate infrastructure in financing instrument belongs here. And the budget in this social window is 2.78 billion euros. And our partners in these are the Investment Bank of Europe and also the Council of Europe Development Bank, and these offer both debt products as well as equity financing and also quasi-equity products under this window. And the next priorities I will present are linked to intermediary products. Now I would like to talk about microfinance. So first of all, in the context of InvestEU, a microfinance, a microloan is a loan up to 50,000 euros. And so why do we have such a policy area here? Well, the objective is to create employment and also to support micro entrepreneurs and also to help those who are in especially vulnerable conditions who possibly would not get funding otherwise. And we have a couple of criteria, a couple of demands to the intermediaries who offer financing. So first of all, these financing services, such as offering loans, they have to offer also services for developing business activities such as mentoring. And secondly, they need to comply with the standards of microfinancers in the EU. And so how do we do this? Well, we have a lot of information regarding to this. I do not have the link here, but I can add it to this slide later on. Then we have our social enterprises. And the definition is, it is an undertaking or a natural person. So it could be a legal person or a natural person which wants to achieve measurable positive social impacts and which uses its profits, first of all, to achieve its primary social objectives. And thirdly, it is someone who has managed its company in a participatory, accountable and transparent manner. Our target is to promote social enterprises with needs up to 2 million euros, but we also give smaller tickets up to 500,000 euros. And then let's look at the social impact and innovation. So first of all, such products, financing products, which target to social innovation are included and also to social impact according to this European Pillar of Social Rights and its 20 principles. As I said at my first slide, the final beneficiaries are impact-driven enterprises whose objective is a social impact or environmental impacts. And the implementing mechanisms could include innovative mechanisms such as investments according to income criteria. Then when it comes to education, training and skills, we have four final beneficiaries. First of all, we have students who would like to take a loan through these intermediaries. Then secondly, we have SMEs, regardless of the sector they work in, who would like to finance upskilling or reskilling of their employees. Thirdly, we have enterprises who focus on whose economic activity focuses in the field of education and skills. And fourthly, we have companies who provide enabling or coordinating services ancillary to skills and education.
Sitten mennään tähän.
Then let's look at capacity building. We are talking about capacity building now, so the idea is to support
sen tarjoajat. Ja näitä pääomalainoja
microfinance, and we offer in three sectors. So first of all, for organizational development reasons and for expansion reasons. Secondly, for strengthening operational and institutional capabilities, which could, for instance, mean investments in working capital. And then thirdly, we also offer it for institutional capacity building to increase their indebtedness capacity.
Mennään vielä viimeisen.
Then let's look at the Invest Advisory Hub, which belongs to the social window. So we have talked about this already. My colleague already talked about this. So how these implementers and intermediaries get advice, for instance, for preparing, developing, structuring, procuring, and implementing the investment projects. Then the idea is to enhance the capacity of promoters and financial intermediaries, and then another idea is to raise awareness and market development activities for investment areas experiencing a market failure. Then we have a social assistance too, and this belongs to this advisory hub, and you can get in touch with them directly via email. And so you could get support and advice for when it comes to the standards and to the best practices of those offering microfinance. So this is all. Thank you.
Seuraavana kollegani Astrid.
Astrid has the floor now.
Thank you. Okay, so now I will take you through the SME window. As said initially, it has a budgetary capacity of 6.9 billion euros. Also under the SME window, we developed a number of different products. And, oops, no, wrong direction. Okay. And the product development is driven, of course, by the policy orientation for SME support, which the Commission has set out in a number of different documents. The real foundation for the SME window was the SME strategy for a sustainable and digital Europe, which we published in March 2020. We actually published that basically 1 week before we all went into lockdown. In that strategy, we emphasized that we want to support digital and green, which is really the overarching topic of today, but also such areas as gender smart financing. Embedded in the SME strategy, we also said when we set up product, we really want to contribute towards the European Capital Markets Union to have much more integrated capital markets. And we said from a financing perspective, the SME window of InvestEU would be our major policy tool. Well, due to COVID, the Commission did do a review of its policies and strategies. So we did that in May 2021. We updated the industrial strategy, and in there actually confirmed and said the SME strategy, as we put it out a year earlier, is more valid than ever. However, due to the fact that a lot of the SMEs had taken on short-term debt from member states through all of these COVID support measures, we would now also need to build products to help the solvency of SMEs, so to allow recapitalization, shifting short-term loans into long-term loans, and that we would also use InvestEU for that. And then last but not least, we have just recently published the SME relief package, which has a number of different measures on the regulatory side. But in terms of real financing, what we said, for the first time, we also want to support trade finance transactions, which we've never done. But here it's about trade finance for EU companies, EU SMEs, small mid-caps, trading for Ukraine. So this is the background to why did we design the products that we did design. Another point I would like to make relates to the delivery mechanism. So we have these 4 policy windows. And for instance, if you go to the sustainable infrastructure window, you've seen by the numbers that Tjatko gave you, there we are looking predominantly at very large projects. So you can address Yanni at the EIB and said, here I have a project. Well, when it comes to SME financing, where the tickets are a lot smaller generally, do not call the EIB and do not call Brussels. The way we implement is on an intermediated basis. So how does it work? Well, we have a big contract with the EIB group, our mandate, and the EIB has the subsidiary, the European Investment Fund, and they're really specialized in SME financing. But also, do not call the EIF in Luxembourg. The EIF cooperates with financial intermediaries across the EU. And the type of financial intermediaries they are cooperating with is quite broad. So it can be banks. It can also be national promotional institutions like Finnvera here in Finland. It can be guarantee societies, microfinance institutions, as we've just heard, can be venture capital funds, can also be crowdfunding platforms. So the EIF is very open in the types of intermediaries they use for the distribution of our products. And it's those financial intermediaries that the EIF then selects. Those are the ones where the SMEs and also small mid-caps can turn to in order to achieve or get the financing. In terms of products, well, we have 2 sides. We have debt products and we have equity products. On the debt side, we have one big European guarantee facility that has, let's say, 4 sub-compartments. One is focused on sustainability projects. That is really brand new. We never had that in any previous programming period. When it comes to the criteria, well, we looked at the European taxonomy, but the taxonomy is very, very complicated, certainly not made for SME finance. So we actually said it's not taxonomy aligned, but taxonomy inspired. So we look at the economic activities that have been defined under the taxonomy and look at those that can meaningfully be carried out by SMEs. And based on that, we have constructed the eligibility criteria. Then we have an innovation and digitalization guarantee, which is a carry forward from the previous programming period where it was known as the Innofin guarantee. So here the criteria are generally already better known to the market. We have a guarantee that supports companies in the culture and creative sector. And last but not least, there's a guarantee which we call SME competitiveness. So this is literally addressed at those financial intermediaries that want to finance the higher risk pockets of the SME universe. For instance, startups, companies in the first 5 years of existence that have a very little track record, and banks usually don't like to touch them. But it's also under the competitiveness guarantee where we've embedded the solvency instrument. So this is actually the only guarantee product that allows banks to refinancing existing short-term loans into subordinated long-term loans. So it's really meant for those SMEs in Europe that took on a lot of debt due to COVID, that have very viable businesses, but they just need to rearrange basically their financing structure in order to be viable going forward. On the equity side, we have given one big mandate to the European Investment Fund to select then private equity and venture capital funds. We have, in terms of resources, here we've teamed up with the RID window. So 50% of the mandate comes from resources from the RID window, 50% from the SME window. The EIF or the EIB group has put resources on top of that. So they have over 6 billion to invest. So that's a really meaningful amount. In terms of fund strategies that they are looking to support. Well, first of all, we have the whole area of enabling sectors and technologies. So you see them here on the screen. It's rather broad, and it also includes things as space, defense, industrial technologies, everything related to semiconductors. So very focused. Then we have the whole area of clean tech, green tech, climate and environmental solutions, where actually we see the emergence of a lot of new funds in Europe. A lot of first-time managers are also coming forward, trying to raise funds in this area, and this is where the EIF can really help to kickstart them. Then we have investments in the digital and the culture and creative sector. So on the digital side, again, we are looking for strategies that would support AI, blockchain, distributed ledger technologies, cybersecurity, quantum computing. And on the creative sector side and the cultural side, it's more education tech and other digital solutions. And the last focus area, well, we've captured it under what we call the Capital Markets Union. What does it mean? Well, we do have quite a number of funds in Europe that focus on one particular market. What we want to support here under the Capital Markets Union heading are those funds that can have general strategies or specialist strategies, but that are going to invest in a multitude of European countries. I mean, we're not saying you have to invest into 27 markets because you're not going to find those fund managers. But you find funds that say, you know, we cover the Nordics or we cover a particular sector and we will look at different European companies. We believe it's very important. Why? Because actually usually national mandates don't go there. When national governments support funds, they usually want employment created within their national boundaries. So those funds can usually not support these strategies. But we believe it's important because they also bring a certain harmonization of approaches and a better integration of the capital market. One thing I would like to point out is under InvestEU, which is, you know, money that is generated or managed by the Commission out of Brussels. And it's a heavy machinery that we've built up. And in order to use that machinery better, we have created what we call the member state compartment. What is it? It's the invitation, the opportunity for member states who don't want to set up their own machinery or programs to contribute to InvestEU and say, here is a pot of money, and please implement that for me in my member state. And Finland is actually one of the member states of the ones you see here on the screen that has chosen to use this opportunity. So they are contributing to the member state compartment, which then actually means that there are there's more funding available for the Finnish market, which is good news for you. Last but not least, I mentioned it already in my intro speech. I mean, just to show when it comes to debt finance, Finland is really top of the rankings here of companies saying we rely on external debt finance. So it's really, really important. Last but not least, if you are a company and you're looking for finance, you of course want to know who are all these beautiful financial intermediaries that have signed up. We have a dedicated portal for that. Here it is, the Access to Finance website, where you can you basically get a map of Europe, you click on the country where you're in, then you can zoom in, you can even select based on whether you try to find debt or equity, and then you see the financial intermediaries cooperating and you can approach them directly for finance. And yeah, here's some examples of InvestEU transactions that have already been signed, and you will hear from them later on, and they'll explain in more detail how you can access the financing. And with that, I hand over to Jochen.
A very good morning from my side. Thank you very much to Maria and Astrid for hosting us here in this wonderful space, and the turnout is impressive. And we learned from Astrid that and Janni that Finland is doing so well. No, Maria mentioned it predominantly, that how you're doing in innovation. And we are in an innovation and research challenge in Europe. And this is my opening slide and my policy rationale why I'm sitting here. So what we need is, and you see it in the 3 blue circles, we need to do something. And it goes intertwined and goes in waves. And we are here to make the waves bigger, to make more impact with the finance from the European level. It is evidenced, as you see in this chart on the right, where I only have the European investments and not the Finnish. Luckily, I can assure you that the Finnish investments are, I think, at par with Japan, so that you are well above 3%. But why stop there? I mean, it is a success model. You should continue to do more, and we try to help you to achieve this. Now, we have in Finland seen success stories, but it's still a fact that the United States has 4 times more unicorns, and this is just one measure of success. One does not want to have every unicorn if we look into some crypto unicorns, but it's a fact. So venture capital, we work with the EIF to support venture capital creation in Finland. Very good, but we are still lacking behind the US, and we are lacking in larger rounds which help to create unicorns. And just to be clear, and Finland is an example for this, if we want to grow, also green growth, it must be productivity driven, and research is the main component here. To do all this, in the upper left corner, we have created the new European Innovation Agenda. It is an instrument which looks into scaling up, improving access to finance, access to capital markets for SMEs and startups. It looks into attracting talents into Europe. It creates new ways of connecting European regions. Regional innovation valleys is the buzzword here, where we can connect regions who want to work together in the field of innovation. Now, if this is our policy rationale, you will wonder why my very well-informed colleagues, Sjatko and Astrid, did not mention innovation, because innovation and research is everywhere. And that's why now I have to share with you on the basis of, on the shoulders of titans, their slides, that I rerun to you again these slides in principle. Because when we had to make the policy choice here, it was very clear for us, research is everywhere. And we would like to have green and innovative networks. We like to have green and innovative SMEs. And yes, Astrid said it, they are the ones who suffer the most because they don't have a credit history. They have a product which is not understood in the market. If you want to open a new Pizza Hut, yeah, that's clear. Everybody understands it. But if you want to do something like 3D printing of medical devices, who knows this product, who knows the uptake, who knows the regulatory processes. So many more hurdles for innovative companies. And that's why we decided to partner with these titans with their large budgets. So we have not 11, we have not 6.9, we have 6.6 billion euros. And we split it in order to make more and to do more good. So if you are an innovative company, don't be frustrated. You have your pockets everywhere, and I'm sure nobody will turn you away just because you're innovative, because there is additional support available. If we now go through this again, in our policy window, we have 4 basic pillars, and the definitions are wide, that you will find your space in them. Trust me. So just go to your financial interlocutor and you will find the space. If not, call Europe, call Astrid, call me. We will find you a space and a way to find financing. So staying with Sjatko, who opened up the general debt product, of course, we need to be there because the innovation needs scale up. You cannot demonstrate large, long-duration energy storage on just a lab desk. You need to have big installations. You need to have grid quality, grid reliability, 24/7 over 36 months, and then you have a solution which can demonstrate to the market, and the market will take it up. Therefore, you need big money, and we hope that we can contribute to helping you in this product with, again, not directly Europe, but with the specialist banks who have the expertise to structure such a deal, to make you aware of opportunities, how to find co-investors and syndicate loans. That's where we are. And whom do we target? Yes, SME, startups, corporate projects, be it in the form of the special purpose vehicles. And when you are from a university and you want to make help startups here, again, it's a good idea to also think of Invest Europe. That's on the debt side. But the EIB, our strong partner here for a very large part, has helped us to target in the innovative side 3 sectors where they have developed great expertise and can move fast and competently in notably health, where we have a wonderful suite of successful projects and products, which you can find on the website. And it's again to underline, if you are risky, that's good, because we want to help you. And then there's the green transition product, which is clearly the name of the day. And we are seeing daily good announcements of new technologies coming out of Europe. Then we have, as Astrid mentioned already, partnered up 50-50 for the joint products with the SME window, mainly through the IFE, but other implementing partners are invited to bid for products. And we've now seen that Greece, as a member state, also was going for the innovation window. And again, we have the same 4 blocks, which Astrid mentioned in her slides. So I'm repeating a bit, it's a bit educational, just let it sink in and make you more comfortable with these concepts. We are there to help you. And if you are worried and you don't know where we are going, there is, of course, beyond the financial products, the advisory. If you are lost, go to the advisory. They will be able to direct you to the appropriate location and places to look for finance. In that way, we try to do capacity building, because we know there are some areas underserved. Rural Nordic Finland might be underserved, and that deserves special attention. And we should go there because the people deserve our attention, so that nobody is left behind. And one purpose of our commission is also gender initiatives. So we are very aware that we have many female talents, but they have it a bit harder to come forward. And therefore, we do address them. We like to monitor them. We have given targets to our implementing partners that they should make an extra effort to increase the diversity in the entrepreneurs which we are supporting. That's on my side, I believe. And we're up for questions. So thank you, Armando.
Thank you very much to all of you. I think we set the scene very clearly on what is InvestEU, what are the different windows. So I thank you very much, all the speakers. I think we are running a bit out of time, but we have time for maybe one question from the audience, if there is any. We have a microphone going around the room, so if there is any curiosities, we will have also time during the break or later for other questions. But now it's the time if you have curiosities on what has been said so far. Well, if there is no questions, then I thank very much all the speakers. I invite them all back to the audience, and I invite the 3 speakers of the next session to come on the stage.
Slides are.
Sorry?
The slides. The slides.
The button, the machine.
They are in the.
It's there. You are in the middle. You are in the middle. He isn't there. Yeah. Huh? Oh, yes. You speak first. So thank you very much, and welcome to the next speakers for the next panel, which is about implementation of InvestEU. We have learned about the 4 policy areas of InvestEU, and now we are turning to how the InvestEU is implemented. What are the debt and equity products that our implementing partner, the European Investment Fund and the European Investment Bank, are doing. So we welcome the speakers. The first speaker is Roland Campe from the EIF. Roland, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. So for InvestEU overall, we have learned that there is the Commission, there's the EIB group. Within the EIB group, there's EIF. So, but we have seen the 26 billion before, 372 billion to be leveraged with that for the thematic and policy objectives of Europe. From the 26, there have been 13 instruments before. They have been put into one single solution and framework that we are operating under InvestEU Fund. And there you have basically then a division of the pie where you see a wonderful pink component for EIF of 11 billion. So from the overall budget of 26, 11 go to EIF, 8.65 to the EIB, and then you have 25% for other implementing partners in countries or multi-country wide. If we come to the 11, EIF operates in 2 main domains, is debt and equity. I will cover debt, you will cover the equity side. And you see again the thematic focus and target areas. You see with who we can operate with banks and non-banks, alternative lenders, anyone that can finance SMEs. And we get to that. And from the setup that EIF is running, we are translating every euro of budget into 13 euros of financing to SMEs. So we have a leverage effect of 13 times that we are targeting. So from the 11 billion, a financing of 145 billion is to be achieved throughout the implementation. I think we don't need to repeat this because we come back to that later, and we have seen already this in a different color scheme before, but the content is fairly similar. So EIF is covering all of the policy objectives of the InvestEU fund, for which we have products under guarantees and under equity that are labeled one way or another, but in principle we follow the same. And now to the details, I hand over to Juho.
Kiitos Roland. Ja hyvää huomenta munkin.
Thank you so much, Roland. I am Juho Aminov and I work at the European Investment Fund, and we have 2 areas. We have the guarantees and then we have our equity investments, as my colleague just said, and we were set up in 94. And I focus on business activities, and we have a long history, and we have a long history in funding in fund investments, and we as an InvestEU implementing department, we are charged with deploying a further 6.5 billion to the market with various policy priorities at the forefront of our investment strategy. And the EIF has over 25 years experience in addressing SME financing gaps via investments. So if we look at our strategy, at the European equity and capital markets, we want to look at SME companies that are viable and are promising so that we can help them throughout their life cycle. And so we can offer, for instance, market studies, and we can offer different services. But traditionally, we have focused on venture capital. This has been our traditional area. And here we focus on technological funds as well as in health technological funds, as well in other impacting strategies. We also make investments on smaller
strategialla toimiviin pääomasijoitusrahastoihin.
on different equity companies that work with debt financing. So, which is our strategy traditionally as an investor? Well, this is applicable to the application of InvestEU. So, the target is to get private investments moving so that actors can take greater risks according to their strategies, and so that we can support new SMEs so that they could participate in our financing markets. So the idea is to bring more people across the board, and this is something that many actors really appreciate. And the idea is to have a catalyst effect on the public money. And of course, as we have already heard, InvestEU has a strong thematic component. There are these different priorities where we want to channel the money, and across a fund investment scheme. So this allows for access to EU level financing. And there are these 5 priorities. You can see them here too, although we have gone through them this morning, and this fits well the activity, the scale of activity which the EU has conducted until now. If we look at where money has been focused in the EU, well, most of them are these sectors which you can see here. So this fits very well, and maybe through InvestEU, we have achieved some sort of changes. For instance, the green transition is much more important now than it was 5 years ago, and that is reflected also in this central window here, in the size of the central window here. So it has become greater and heavier along the years, and it gets now 50% or more than 50% of the investments. And in the window of enabling sectors, the target is to find EU funds that make investments that promote these priorities according to the EU targets, so which is autonomy and technological independence, so that we can invest in targeted companies that work, for instance, in the space sector or cybersecurity sector, or in the artificial intelligence sector. Now, the thematic priorities have been mentioned. We have made a reference to these horizontal objectives too, and the idea is to help within the InvestEU and across through the EIF also to help them. One of them is to help scale up companies, for instance, and to help, for instance, public company or companies to go public. And also, the idea is to help those markets within the EU that are less developed. And one important target is to improve the importance of the SMEs which manage funds, or of those actors which manage funds which get money from the EU Invest and from the European Investment Fund. Now, a couple of words about the climate and infrastructure window. 3.5 billion from the total amount comes here, and every year as we look at the budget assignments, well, this grows year after year, and we have seen at the markets that more and more money is gathered to channel to green themes. And now for 2 years or so, we have invested in purely infrastructure projects, which is a new business area for us. And this was we took over this and have been managing this for a couple of years. And one important part here is renewable energy and all the funds that are channeled to that. But as has been said earlier, this covers different kinds of mobilities and technological solutions, as well as biotechnology and circular technology. Occupy an important part here. So what is the money that people can look for? Well, you can find that on the web page, and you can look at how the application has to be done. And after the application has been done, we look at the different applications, we analyze them. We have a whole team that looks at the applications, and when we look at the possible projects, we evaluate how credible these products are, or these possible projects are, and how these projects would contribute to the main objectives of the EU. And now about the process and the application process. In 1 or 2 months, you will get the answer to your application, and there are 4 steps in this process. So from the application to the investment, around 2 months involved. Now let's look at where we are in the implementation of equity funds. Well, this is the situation at the beginning of August. From the 6.5 billion, around 2.9 billion have been allocated already. So after a 1 year allocation period, we have got a good speed here, and the average size has been 2.2 from 2 to 3 billion. And on the infrastructure side, these funds have been great, significantly greater. Now in Finland, we are on the 10th position, so we have been good beneficiaries. We have got 4% of the total amount, and this is aligned with how the Finnish management teams have conducted themselves and have benefited from the EU funds over the last few years. According to the statistics, Finland was the 7th greatest beneficiary. So this is what comes to equity funds, and now I'd like to hand over to Roland.
So we have basically seen that we have 11 billion, then 6 billion are on the equity side, and now you see a new number of 10 billion here. How this one is coming up? Well, on the guarantee side, we are combining resources of the Commission with EIF resources to provide guarantees. So for capped guarantees, it's the coverage from the European Commission. For uncapped guarantees, and we will get to that, we are combining EIF resources with the protection of the InvestEU fund, and that's how then a number of 10 billion comes across, that we are bringing in risk-taking capacity from our side. So we cover here the 6 thematics. Competitiveness is a product that has been in the market before under the label COSME. Innovation and digitalization under Innofin. Culture and creative sector has been tested before, is now really an established product, and it is very interesting to see how the demand in this space is also developing. It is really going from architects to movie making and to artists, and is very interesting simply to see what is happening there. Then you see a very green pink of sustainability here with our corporate color scheme. So sustainability is the new thematic that we have not covered as EIF before under a guarantee program, but we are very happy with how it works, how the uptake is. And then we have microfinance and the social side, which is for the smaller companies, and skills and educations, really learners or companies that are in the learning space. This is our domain. So I mentioned before two names: capped guarantees and uncapped guarantees. Basically, a capped guarantee is you bring up a portfolio and we cover you for the first up to the cap, which can be up to 25% if it is a very risky portfolio, but typically it's oriented at the expected loss or up to the expected loss of the portfolio to be built. So capped guarantees are available for all the thematics. The micro and the skilled side is only available as capped, but it allows you to really take additional risk, but you have the first part covered up to at the guarantee rate, up to the cap. Uncapped is then the product where resources are combined of the Commission with the EIF resources, and we give an uncapped guarantee for 70% or up to 70%. You can choose a lower guarantee rate actually for each and every loan that is included. But the two differ in the terms of what they cost, what they can cover, but throughout are available for competitiveness, sustainability, innovation, and CCS. Now, capped is mainly competitiveness. I exclude the high risk class 3, which is then the product that Astrid before mentioned, where we look into really the risky SMEs that translate existing debt into subordinated debt or have subordinated debt financing and have been affected by COVID in the past. And actually in this space, we have already signed one agreement here in Finland, which is with Lehi Tapiola. And this is that is covering the uncapped competitiveness. Then we have sustainability and innovation that we have covered as uncapped in Finland. But we cover there basically up to 70% for companies that are risky. Yeah. Then who can we cover? So SMEs for competitiveness, and SMEs go throughout because that's our core business that we do, right? We have small mid-caps for sustainability, innovation, and CCS. And for skills and education, we also allow small mid-caps. So small mid-caps are companies that are not an EU SME, but less than 500 employees. So that are just slightly bigger. What is a new aspect is that we have natural persons and housing associations, or rather ownership associations, in the sustainability space, in particular to support the greening of investments to become less energy dependent, zero emission mobility, and that's the core focus here. Overall, EIF with SMEs looks at smaller loan amounts, so up to 7.5 million euros, up to 2 million if it is direct financing by a promotional bank. If it is indirect, it's the 7.5 apply. Naturally, for microfinance, you have smaller maximum tickets, and for skills and education also. There's a minimum term of 12 months. There's no maximum term of the underlying financing. There's a maximum term of the validity of the guarantee, but in theory, it's possible to have a 20-year financing and 12-year guarantee coverage if our partner, the bank, is comfortable with that level of risk. But it's of course a very tricky situation. But we have become more flexible here from the past. In the past, we had a maximum term defined, and that increased flexibility is something we will look into very, very closely. in terms of how you become an intermediary, it's an open call. You send an application, you apply, we assess, and from there on we get approvals in place. We negotiate the agreement, and we sign an agreement to build up a portfolio then over 2 years, over 3 years for the respective product. Here's a bit the overview of what has happened so far for guarantees under InvestEU. So you see multiple colors and you see high numbers. So we have 242 applications as of end August, which is quite a nice amount and quite a lot of work for us to look into. And at that very same moment, we had signed 123 agreements with 111 intermediaries. So overall, we have very nice uptake throughout all the countries, and also in particular in Finland. This is for uncapped guarantees, for capped guarantees. We cover almost all member states, but 25 it was as of end August. And the amount that we have signed, so an all-in-all amount of 3.99 billion is having then a leverage of, or expected to leverage financing of 14.5. What you don't see here is yet the climate action guarantee for Finland, so the 100 million budget in the member state compartment that we have learned earlier about. So the contribution was signed in 22. The schedule to activate it under the InvestEU has now been signed. Also, that we are working there on a good pipeline. We have received already a handful of applications that we're working on. And we see a number of these materializing also this year. So this is on a very good track, that really from the 100 million, they become accessible then in Finland for SMEs to really receive the financing. 100 million leverage in Finland, 500 million of guarantee. So 500 million of guarantee with banks that then originate loans at a 70% guarantee coverage. The 100 million is then really dedicated to sustainability, to the sustainability thematic, and that is the focus that the government, or that EF together with the government selected as for the implementation. So really to focus on green investments, green enterprises, really to transition the green economy and to give the SMEs the helping hand, on the transition. And now I hand over to Jani for his part. Thank you.
Is it which way? Okay, thanks. Hyvä, kiitos paljon, Roland.
Thank you so much, Roland and Juha.
Mun puolella.
Well, I'm going to be very concise. Let's look at what InvestEU means in practice for Finnish companies. We have had a good overview of InvestEU and of the different priority windows. Now, at the level of practice, we look for funding from Finnish banks. We apply for funding from Finnish banks for financing SMEs and banks. And InvestEU is behind the loans of the Finnish banks. So InvestEU is the guarantor, and these debt products or loan products that are offered by banks go along the priorities of InvestEU. So venture capital companies that want VC money in Finland, they go to funds. They turn to funds who have their own products, and the European Investment Funds is one of the investors of these Finnish funds. So this money is channeled this way from the invest fund, and the investing policy has to be according to these policy windows. So this is a simple way of explaining how these companies can apply for money. On the other hand, there are the loan products of the EIB, of the European Investment Bank, which are very closely linked to which are very similar to the Invest EU instruments or to the Invest EU window. So now very concisely, I would like to look at the EIB debt financing instruments, and part of them are guaranteed by Invest EU and part of them are taken up according to the own risk of the EIB bank. So let's see. I'm going straight to the next slide so that we can advance according to our schedule. So let's look at what the bank does in Finland. So let's look at what we have done what we did last year. So the financing was 1.2 billion euros. 400 million came from the investment fund for equity and guarantee products. 400 million came or were for the public sector in Finland, for municipalities. Last year, these were municipalities and health sectors and well-being sectors. 400 million was for big corporations for the RD projects investment, and we also had one quasi-equity loan last year for the development of quantum computers. Now, very briefly, what is the role of the bank here? Which are the objectives of the bank for the next few years? Well, we are the climate bank of the EU, so a green, clean transition is one of the main priorities, clearly, and this covers almost all of the activities of the bank. And we can see here that we will be doing the same kinds of operations as last year, but the green transition and the projects related to it will have a higher importance, a bigger importance, and as these projects mature and become investment decisions, well, these will be granted more and more importance. So we are following very, very closely the 140 billion envelope for onshore, offshore, for green hydrogen, for infrastructures, for green steel, for solar energy, etc. All of these are priorities of the European Investment Bank. And in fact, now we got to my last slide, and this is a good link to InvestEU. When we talk about high risk projects, either company loans or project funding, or whether we talk about project companies, well, in that case, InvestEU is a critical guarantor, and this makes it possible for us to take part in these projects and to offer significant amounts of money, so an important part of the loans. And when we talked earlier about InvestEU, about the investment committee of InvestEU, well, the part of InvestEU and whether it matches the windows or not, and whether the committee accepts a specific project, well, we are in charge of this. For instance, if you have a project, you can get in touch with the bank, with the European Investment Bank, and then we will look at the possibilities of that specific project, whether it matches the requirements of InvestEU. And that is how we can start our analysis, and then we will present the project in due moment to the investment bank. So in that sense, the EIB Finnish office or Finnish headquarters is a one-stop shop in Finland. So we find the right person within the bank with whom to continue our conversations either in Helsinki or in Luxembourg. So let's look at the EIB project cycle.
On hyvin samantyyppinen kuin
It is very similar to all the other bank cycles, bank project cycles, and InvestEU. This is the InvestEU approval process is part of this process.
näin.
So I will leave it here. I think we are now advancing according to our plan.
We have just very few minutes for some questions from the audience before we go to the next panel. But first, I wanted to thank Juho, Roland, and Jani for the excellent presentations. Is there any question that are coming from the audience? Please shout if you have anything. I think the topics were quite interesting and otherwise, we have a break immediately after the next session. I think you could network during the time there. If there is no questions, then I welcome again. Thank you again for the excellent presentation, and I welcome to the stage the next three speakers, who are Dmitry Kuznetsov from Nordic Investment Bank, Elias Jokinen from Finnvera, and Emmi Nai from Business Finland. This session will focus a bit on the financing opportunities in Finland. So we'll see the experience of Nordic Investment Bank, of Finnvera, and of Business Finland, as said. So I start with giving the floor to Dmitry Kuznetsov, who is head of public sector and utilities at Nordic Investment Bank, who will tell about the experience of NIB as an implementing partner with InvestEU. The floor is yours.
First of all, thank you to the Commission and to our colleagues at EIB for inviting us to talk about NIB and our product under InvestEU. But maybe before going to the description of how we approach the implementation of the InvestEU program, let me spend a few words about the bank itself, even if I assume that quite a few of you have heard about NIB, given that we are located not so far away from here, and we have been around for a while. So the bank was established in 1975. It's owned by the 8 Nordic and Baltic governments, and Finland owns almost 18% of capital of the bank. We operate under 2 policy mandates, the productivity mandate and the environmental mandate, which means that we finance primarily projects that do fulfill requirements in terms of enhancing or delivering productivity gains and environmental benefits in our member states. If we talk about the productivity gains, this touches quite close at the R&D window, research and innovation and digitization window of InvestEU, but also the social window to some extent, because we look at this mandate in a broader sense of the word. We look, of course, in the investment or financing investments which do promote technological progress and innovation, but also development of human capital and access to equal economic opportunities. And that's why we also finance healthcare sectors, we finance education, be it the early childhood education, but also universities and schools. Our bank is, of course, somewhat smaller than EIB's size. The total balance sheet is just a bit more than 40 billion, and the total loan book is around 22 billion. We sign more or less 60 loan transactions a year. And of course, it's worthwhile saying that we are a kind of a mono-product bank. We finance provide only debt to our clients. We don't have equity products. At the same time, given our strong rating, AAA, both on standalone basis, but also thanks to the support from our owners, we can bring in capital at quite attractive rates from all over the world and then channel it into the local economies of our member states. In terms of our DNA, having a quite extensive and long dated experience in environmental assessment of all projects that we finance. Now that the focus is increasingly on the green transition, that really gives us a strong footing into finding good projects and fulfilling their potential with our contribution. In terms of overall value that we can deliver to our clients, of course, it's the long duration of the loans that we provide. We're a long-term lender who stays in a relationship with our client on long-term basis, even up to 25-year, mainly in the public sector and the lower risk segments of the market. We also act as a complementary source of financing, and we provide not more than 50% of the project cost, crowding in commercial banks and not doing any cross-sell in terms of our offering to the clients. So, as I said, our main product is the loan product, but even that niche kind of segment, we try to innovate. We don't only provide loans that finance specific projects, but we have rolled out a new product for more asset-light type of industries, the services, businesses, where we can offer sustainability-linked loans, which means that the loan do not have a specific use of the loan money, but it would be the pricing on those loans would be linked to specific key performance indicators on the environmental side or on the social side. We also invest in labeled bonds issued by the corporate sector or public sector in our member states, both green bonds but also sustainability-linked bonds. And we have quite a growing project finance business, mainly in the renewable assets side. Being quite a small institution, we can run our process quite efficiently and can commit to our clients to quite a transparent delivery timeline, both in terms of approval but also finalizing our loan agreements. But at the same time, given the AAA rating of the institution, we still need to have a first-class due diligence process, and that due diligence process encompasses both the risk assessment of the counterparts but also the ESG side, and that could also offer some value into the loans that we deliver. Briefly on the sectors that we work with, of course, this pretty much covers everything, but worthwhile mentioning that given that we focus mostly on the more capital-intensive industries, we have more presence in the infrastructure, in the industry and the utilities segments. But the presence in public sector is also quite significant given our social angle of our mandate. We finance quite a lot of healthcare and education in that area. And when we talk about financing SMEs, we also use the intermediate approach where we're partnering with local financial institutions to reach out to local small and medium enterprises. And then finally, a few words about our business in Finland. We've been here basically from the beginning, delivering more than 14 billion of loans since the beginning. In the last 5 years, our main disbursements were, unsurprisingly, in the utilities and industrial sectors, which accounted roughly for the half of our disbursements. But as you can see, also healthcare and loans to financial intermediaries were quite significant during these last years. And to conclude on our sort of business in Finland, Finland is the third largest recipient of loans from NIB, with almost every fifth euro that NIB disbursed is currently in Finland. And finally, getting into the topic of today's meeting, the implementation of InvestEU. We focus on two policy windows. We are acting in the implementation of the sustainable infrastructure policy window, and the research innovation and digitalization policy window. The total lending capacity that we have at the moment is up to 480 million. However, that of course is proportionate to our overall loan book. And the sub-segment that we are looking to serve under our financial product are all of the sort of sub-sectors related to the green transition and development on the, first of all, energy transition side, but also in the circular economy and the decarbonization of industries. And of course, again, to underline that we offer loans, direct debt loan product. We don't have intermediated product under the InvestEU for the time being, given that this is the first time that other implementing partners other than EIB have been invited to be part of the program. For us, it's still a learning curve, learning by doing process, and we hope that by first developing a direct debt product, we can maybe then step in also into the intermediated product later on in the process. How we operate, how we disburse our InvestEU loans, it's basically through two main channels. One is the framework operation Clean Energy Transition that Ramona has already mentioned in her slide. That framework is up to 300 million and is targeting specifically the energy sector projects. And the energy sector is meant in a broad sense of the word, as it includes both the generation capacity, but also green energy infrastructure, low carbon technologies like carbon capture and storage, as well as investment on the energy efficiency side, be it in the industry, SMEs, or in the housing stock renovation processes. On the other hand, we have all the other targeted priority areas which do not fall under the energy framework, and the difference between the two kind of channels is related primarily to the process. Under the framework operation, the Commission and the InvestEU Investment Committee has pre-approved the projects if they meet certain eligibility criteria, and that means that on our side only the approval from NIB side is needed to include these projects under the InvestEU guarantee. Whereas for the operations that go through on the other channel, they have to go also through the approval process with the European Commission and with the Investment Committee of InvestEU. Few words about kind of the key features of our loans under the InvestEU. So we target primarily the private sector for InvestEU loans. We have, of course, as I mentioned, pretty large public sector business, but we think that the main additionality and the main opportunities, at least for us, in our member states, lies in the corporate sector. Mid-caps, larger corporates, to some extent also SMEs, when we lend directly to them. And the project finance business, which has been growing at a good pace over the last few months and actually a few years now, we think that also represents a good opportunity for using the guarantee support in our member states. The loan amount we indicate roughly between 20 to 40 million. It can be lower, it can be higher. It's not sort of an amount that is spelled out anywhere in our agreements with the Commission. This is purely derived from the fact that our guarantee is not a 100% guarantee for each of the projects that we finance, but it's a guarantee of up to 23% on a portfolio of loans. So that means that NIB retains still a significant share of the risk on its balance sheet. And we need to carry on a sound diversification in our structuring of the portfolio. The tenors or the maturities that we can offer for our loans under InvestEU run all the way up to 20 years, mainly on the project finance side. And the repayment could envisage also repayment through amortized setups, but also at the maturity date with a bullet payment at the end of the loan. The countries that are served with InvestEU loan product are all of our member states plus Poland. Worthwhile mentioning that Norway and Iceland have joined the InvestEU fund somewhat later in second quarter this year, so we are still negotiating the amendment of our agreement to include them in the scope of the guarantee. And then to conclude, maybe a few words about the process that we run for InvestEU. In a way, as Jani was saying, it's somewhat the same process we run for all other loans at NIB as well. So that for our clients, for the corporates, when we talk to you, you only see us and you get our standard due diligence process. Then our internal teams then work with the Commission, work with the investment committee of InvestEU, and sort of deliver the kind of internal process on the InvestEU side. But overall, I wouldn't say that if we use our own resources or we use the guarantee from InvestEU, there is any difference for our clients. The process is in sort of runs smoothly on both sides. So this is what I would like to say, and if you have more questions, happy to answer them after it. Thank you.
Ja huomenta minunkin osalta on Elias Jokinen ja tulen Finvera.
Good morning, I'm Elias Jokinen. I'm from Finvera. And the aim is today to talk to you about a couple of loan products that we have launched at the beginning of the summer. And these will be able to benefit from the InvestEU resources. And we will focus on SME companies and also on small mid-cap companies. And you can see here the names of the products here. So we have climate and environmental loans and also digitalization and innovation loans. But before we delve into these products, I would like to talk a bit about Finvera. I guess many of you know Finvera. It is a national bank. It is a national financing agency. And it is also a promoter of experts from Finland. So it is an export credit agency, and it is owned totally, fully by the state, and our activity is guided. It is conducted by the Finance Ministry and the Economy and Employment Ministry. So how do we function? How do we work? Well, we have direct instruments which are offered to enterprises in this case, and we also offer guarantees in cooperation with financiers and banks, and we also cooperate with other Team Finland entities such as Business Finland. And then let's look at our new products. We have heard about how important the green transition is and digitalization is. So this double transition, this twin transition, and our own products will be focused on SMEs mainly, and we want to promote Finnish companies so that Finnish companies can go for these kinds of projects. And I would like to highlight that they have very big growth and internalization possibilities. These two products are about direct loans, and the loan offerer gives loans to Finnish SMEs and to mid-cap companies, to small mid-caps. And when it comes to climate and environment, the focus is precisely renewable energy, energy efficiency, the use of sustainable materials, the circular economy, and low emission economy. Then when it comes to digitalization and innovation loan, in this case, of course, innovation is important as well as digitalization. And both of these products, as you could see at the beginning, and as I said at the beginning, have been created with the Commission and the investment fund. So both products have the guarantees of InvestEU, and these are channeled through the investment fund of the European Union. So here you can see some of the main features of these loans. First of all, the size. Since we are looking at SMEs, the cap is around 2 million. So under 2 million. 2 million is the cap and 150,000 is the bottom line. Now, when it comes to collaterals, a 60% guarantee from the EIF, and otherwise it is unsecured. So from the point of view of the SME, it does not require any kinds of soft securities either on the side of the owners. So they do not need to offer that kind of guarantee. And what is the purpose? Well, the purpose is investments
osin käyttöpääomaan.
or working capital when needed. But of course, we need to realize that both the loan and the borrower will have to fulfill the criteria that are specific to becoming eligible for such loans. And of course, the thematic criteria, which are specific for each product. So these are for certain periods. They are applied at the beginning of this summer. We published the products, and these will be available for a couple of years or as long as we have resources or the possibility to offer such loans. And then the maturity is up to 10 years. And the important part here is that each project is tailor-made for the companies, for the SMEs, and we will look in detail into the projects. So it is important for the SMEs to know that the assessment is done beforehand and there is no responsibility for periodical reporting along the maturity path. Of course, it is also always possible to make a review. Then let's look at the kinds of investments we can make. There are some examples here. So we have renewable energy, as you can see here, and as has been said, there's energy efficiency too, and energy efficient buildings. Then we have
Vähäpäästöinen tai päästötön.
Zero emissions or low emissions. And then we have mobility, and we want to focus on infrastructure possibilities here. Then there is green ICT, and circular economy matters are important too. Then let's look at digitalization and innovation. Well, innovation is important here. So investment can be made into material or immaterial projects, and these will be channeled on the innovation of new products and the implementation of such products. And if we look at the digitalization part, there is a large scale of criteria in use. Now, if these are interesting, if you find them interesting, you will find new information or more information on our webpage. That is www.finvera.fi. And you are very welcome to become acquainted with our products. And if you have your own project or a company of your own, then you can apply for funds. And when you make an application, you can speak with our experts and you could make an assessment with our experts for your specific project. So this is all on my side.
Yes, kiitos. Kunnia olla viimeinen puhuja ennen.
Thank you. I have the privilege of being the last speaker before the break. I am from Business Finland and I am replacing Hanna Rinta-Erkkilä, who is my colleague who unfortunately is in Italy right now having a great time. So first of all, I would like to talk about, I won't talk as a financer, but I will talk about our global innovation entity. I am in charge of advisory services regarding digitalization in Europe and regarding life, for instance, and structural funds. So these are familiar matters for me. I do not know if they are for you. So Business Finland actually funds specifically research and innovation with the aim of becoming international in Finland. And we also fund projects with EU finance with Eureka and Eurostars, but I won't go into those today. I will talk about those services we can offer to companies besides finance so that we can jump on board these EU projects. So first of all, you can see two external activities beyond the EU. So we support companies so that they can become part of global value chains and that they can take part in global innovation projects. But most of the innovation activities are linked to EU funds. So there are three main areas here. I represent the advisory part together with Hanna. We are in charge of this, the two of us, and we offer compound information, centralized information, and also ample information about the financing side or financing area. And we are a new service because we realize the EU has around 30 financing instruments, and this can be quite complicated for SMEs. So we realize that they need some sort of help and a compass here. So we function as a first interface when companies want to get in touch or want to access these EU finance instruments, be they market-based criteria, funding or grants. And Janne talked about Horizon earlier, and this is the largest EU research and development funding framework. And we have a unit within our entity, and the EU offers, for instance, statistics about the success of Finland in the cooperation with the EU. And also, I think that after the break, we will be talking about the EIC and about the EIC accelerator, which is part of a Horizon Europe, and that offers, amongst other things, of course, advice, but also initiative services. So all the information related to setting up a new project or a new company and all the funding one should take into account. So we will talk about this, and also this EIC accelerator includes an interview process and also a training process for candidates. So we offer a very close advice service to companies. Also, Horizon Europe, we have these national contact points, which are located either in Finland or in the Finnish Academy. So they are either in our entity or in the Finnish Academy, and these are experts who help companies to find their way in this funding forest. And then at a general level, we offer information about costs, for instance, or about themes, and we have our Horizon Europe web pages in Finland, and also the Europe financing or investment fund web pages are conducted by us too, and those are good places to go first if you want to find financing for your projects. And then in Business Finland in general, we also prepare some preparation financing for Horizon Europe and for the projects of EDF. So before applying for money, before applying for funds, we offer advice. And here you can see what our network looks like. Of course, we work closely in cooperation with these other actors, and these are maybe the most important actors we work with. And on this slide,
on oikeastaan vaan havainnollistamaan.
You can see the different kinds of clients we have. And then depending on the financing program, we can talk about basic research, for instance, or we could be looking at practical commercial activities. And mainly we have SMEs as clients, as customers, but also bigger corporates, startup companies. Many of them are startup companies, and municipalities are some of our clients too. Also some research centers. And I think this is we will be talking about the EIC accelerator after the break, so I want to go into that, and that would be placed at the level 6 or above, and maybe at level 8. So that would be the pre-commercialization phase. And I think that some added value could be this innovation fund, which finances For instance, clean energy and CO2-free projects and for energy-intensive industries. And I think these are the main points. So you can see our contact details here, because I think it is impossible to go through every single thing we do and single thing you should do in order to access EU money. Hanna is in charge of the market-based criteria. I am in charge of support, and then Heini is in charge of the accelerator, the EIC accelerator. And you can get in touch with us via EU-rahoitus@businessfinland.fi. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Amy. And thank you also to Dimitri and Elias for excellent presentation on the financing opportunities in Finland. I would open the floor for question, but we are also heading towards a deserved coffee break. So if you have burning questions, I would suggest to place it now. Otherwise, you will have 20 minutes to mingle in the just behind in the room behind. And I don't see any questions, so I hope you found the first part of the event quite informative and interesting. So we now deserve a break. But after the break, we will present you the European Innovation Council and the Single Market Program, which it will be quite interesting because we will screen some interesting case studies about Finnish companies which were financially supported by the EU instruments. So I would suggest not to go too far away. We will be back, I would suggest, at around 11:35 in around 20 minutes, if it's fine for you. So enjoy the coffee and see you back here.
Are you an owner of a small or medium-sized enterprise? Are you a private individual? Or a farmer looking to make sustainability investments? Do you want to upgrade your car fleet to zero-emission vehicles? Make your buildings accessible for people with disabilities, including digital infrastructure? Install solar panels on your roof? Produce energy-efficient equipment? Switch to recycled materials? Or improve the water efficiency on your farm? For these and many other impactful aspirations, your local bank could help, thanks to support from the EU. Climate, environmental and social challenges require diverse solutions and financing. Everyone can help mitigate climate change, make a positive impact on the environment, and remove barriers for participation faced by persons with disabilities. From household energy efficiency upgrades to ecosystem restoration projects, the EU wants to support all sustainability investments, big or small. And let's be real, there's no single way to make things better for our planet. If you have an investment project that would benefit the environment or ensure accessibility for persons with disabilities, visit the Access to Finance website to find your local bank, which can provide you with more information and details on how to get lending. For information about InvestEU projects in your country, visit the Invest EU website. Let's make a positive impact for a sustainable future.
Syvä motivaatio tulee jostain sisältä. Se on kai sitä sitten yrittäjyyttä. Kyllä sellainen sisäinen palo on syy siihen, että aamuisin herää aikaisin ja jaksaa tehdä sinänsä pitkää päivää. Toisaalta kysymys on varmaan siitä, että työ mitä tekee on tosi mielenkiintoista. Big Data tulee varmasti muuttamaan maailmaa. Terveydenhuollossa ongelmana ei ole, että dataa ei olisi riittävästi. Haaste on se, että miten se saadaan tuntumaan ja näyttämään ymmärrettävältä ja järkevältä. PSP Medical on terveydenhuollon IT-alan yritys, joka kehittää tietojärjestelmiä hoidon laadun ja vaikuttavuuden seurantaan. Stadioni, missä vähän päästä ollaan, niin on meidän Upittaan stadioni, jossa sitten tavallaan monet sukupolvet on pelanneet hienoissa joukkueissa ja on ollut hieno tarina, että olen itse mukana siinä. Jos ajattelisit jalkapallon jälkeistä elämää, niin varmaan tärkeimmät asiat, mitä jalkapallosta jäi, oli joukkuehenki, team spirit, asenne, never give up -tyyppinen asenne, että peli ei ole ikinä loppu ennen kuin tuomari on viheltänyt. Tavallaan niitä asioita pyrkyn ehkä tuomaan tiedostetusti tai tiedostamatta työelämään.
Did you ever score a goal in the stadium?
No. I was a half center. Don't even ask. Suurin haaste yrityksen perustamisessa oli varmaan uskallus ryhtyä siihen. Toisaalta startup-hengessä usko ja toivo ylittävät realismin ja sitten aletaan painamaan eteenpäin. Omien kokemuksien perusteella vinkit muille yrittäjille perustuvat varmaan pitää uskoa itseensä, pitää uskoa oman asiansa, koskaan ei voi antaa periksi. Ja loppujen lopuksi pitää saada ympärilleen ihmisiä, jotka auttavat sinua eteenpäin. Petteri Viljanen, PCB Medicalin toimitusjohtaja.
What do you see? A little spark, slowly growing bigger, lighting up the dark. Imagine what it could be. What do you see? A robot that feels, sustainable fiber, or software that captures the world in 3D. Wood and wind turbines, transparent solar panels, reinventing the way we use our energy. A tiny idea, so crazy it's hard to believe. An invention with the intention to change the world drastically. It's something we would love to see. So tell us what you need to reimagine, to reinvent the world. We can give you a place where unicorns are born. You can chase your dreams, helping hands, machinery, bigger plans, or just a chance to show the world something they haven't seen. So, what do you see?
Culture essentially is a catalyst that triggers a variety of positive effects in the society, like innovation, free self-expression, jobs and purpose. But culture is definitely also a glue for different social groups to meet, interact and have a common purpose. In the bigger scheme of things, our vision is to use culture in service of the society. I'm Helen Sildna, the Director of Shiftworks in Tallinn, Estonia. Shiftworks essentially is using creative tools and clever curation to bring positive impact in the society. And we do that mainly through the two festivals that we promote, Tallinn Music Week and Station Narva, but also other cultural events, productions and communication projects. In a way, our festivals are like a way to show a spotlight onto what is happening in the society. Tallinn Music Week, of course, is the biggest venture that we do in our company that takes 70% of our annual budget. And there are months when we do need bridge funding to be able to balance out the financial obligations throughout the years. So essentially what was really needed by us and what thankfully is now available due to European support measures is exactly that type of bridge funding. Unfortunately, it is not easy to get a regular loan from a bank. We wouldn't be a very attractive candidate or a client because in their eye, we lack assets in its traditional sense. We don't own property, we don't have financial assets like this. And in general, I think our sector needs to be better in describing the value that we create in the society. In the end, this EU support gives us the opportunity to have peace of mind and actually do what we do the best.
I'm Sebastian Kunert. I'm the founder and chairman of Trademo. We really dream of a world in which everyone has the chance to invest and in which everyone actually does it. It's a very important part of democracy that people feel that they are part of the financial system.
So even if you don't have any background in the financial industry or don't work in the financial industry, everyone can take their own financial future in their own hands and trade for themselves.
We decided to create an e-learning financial platform. It's really to help people learn everything that they need to invest their money themselves instead of trusting a bank advisor with all their financial decisions. In the beginning, people were simply skeptical. It's not like food. Everyone needs financial education, but they don't feel it every day in their stomach. But then, as a company, you also have many other obstacles that at some point we needed new investors. After we were published on the AIPP platform, I remember a colleague told me, hey, there's this Chinese guy on the phone, do you want to speak to him? And in the end, he invested $1 million into our company.
When you receive such a trust from someone that believes in your vision, you can really see how a company changes and how the existing employees change to create something that's beneficial for everyone.
I would definitely recommend any company in Europe that wants to grow and receive new investments to go onto the AIPP platform, because simply it is a great free service that gives you an additional credibility, additional sense of trust. I would strongly encourage it.
Are you a project promoter looking for finance in one of the EU policy priority areas? Sustainable infrastructure, research, innovation and digitisation, small and medium-sized businesses, social investment and skills. Whether you are a small company owner seeking capital growth or project company investing in large infrastructure, do you have a project and are looking for financing? Or do you need advice on how to improve your investment project to obtain financing? The Invest EU programme helps you access financing, provides advisory support, or combines both. The European Commission, with its Invest EU fund, and its €26.2 billion EU budget guarantee enables and facilitates access to finance. Do you have a clear idea of a project, and are you ready to submit it for financing? To apply for financing, you must apply directly to one of InvestEU's implementing partners. They have the geographical spread, local presence, experience and specialisation to meet your needs. The European Investment Bank Group is the main implementing partner with an EU-wide focus. Other implementing partners are national promotional banks or other international financial institutions. If you are still in the project development phase, the InvestEU Advisory Hub helps you through the entire project lifecycle before the financing stage. You can get help preparing and structuring your project and learning about financing options. If you need support on your business plan or financial structure of the investment project, send your request for support through the central entry point of the InvestEU Advisory Hub and follow the step-by-step guide. Visit investeu.europa.eu.
Are you an owner of a small or medium-sized enterprise? Are you a private individual? Or a farmer looking to make sustainability investments? Do you want to upgrade your car fleet to zero-emission vehicles? Make your buildings accessible for people with disabilities, including digital infrastructure. Install solar panels on your roof. Produce energy-efficient equipment. switch to recycled materials, or improve the water efficiency on your farm? For these and many other impactful aspirations, your local bank could help, thanks to support from the EU. Climate, environmental and social challenges require diverse solutions and financing. Everyone can help mitigate climate change, make a positive impact on the environment, and remove barriers for participation faced by persons with disabilities. From household energy efficiency upgrades to ecosystem restoration projects. The EU wants to support all sustainability investments, big or small. And let's be real, there's no single way to make things better for our planet. If you have an investment project that would benefit the environment or ensure accessibility for persons with disabilities, visit the Access to Finance website to find your local bank, which can provide you with more information and details on how to get lending. For information about InvestEU projects in your country, visit the InvestEU website. Let's make a positive impact for a sustainable future.
Syvä motivaatio tulee jostain sisältä. Se on kai sitä sitten yrittäjyyttä. Kyllä sellainen sisäinen valo on syy siihen, että aamuisin herää aikaisin ja jaksaa tehdä sinänsä pitkää päivää. Toisaalta kysymys on varmaan siitä, että työ mitä tekee on tosi mielenkiintoista. Big Data tulee varmasti muuttamaan maailmaa. Terveydenhuollossa ongelmana ei ole, että dataa ei olisi riittävästi. Haaste on se, että miten se saadaan tuntumaan ja näyttämään ymmärrettävältä ja järkevältä. PSV Medical on terveydenhuollon IT-alan yritys, joka kehittää tietojärjestelmiä hoidon laadun ja vaikuttavuuden seurantaan. Stadioni, missä vähän päästä ollaan, niin on meidän Upittaan stadioni, jossa sitten tavallaan monet sukupolvet on pelanneet hienoissa joukkueissa ja on ollut hieno tarina, että oli itse mukana siinä. Jos ajattelisit jalkapallon jälkeistä elämää, niin varmaan tärkeimmät asiat, mitä jalkapallosta jäi, oli joukkuehenki, team spirit, asenne, never give up -tyyppinen asenne, että peli ei ole ikinä loppu ennen kuin tuomari on viheltänyt. Tavallaan niitä asioita pyrkyn ehkä tuomaan tiedostetusti tai tiedostamatta työelämään.
Did you ever score a goal in the stadium?
No. I was a half center. Don't even ask. Suurin haaste yrityksen perustamisessa oli varmaan uskallus ryhtyä siihen. Toisaalta startup-hengessä usko ja toivo ylittävät realismin ja sitten aletaan painamaan eteenpäin. Omien kokemuksien perusteella vinkit muille yrittäjille perustuvat varmaan pitää uskoa itseensä, pitää uskoa oman asiansa, koskaan ei voi antaa periksi. Ja loppujen lopuksi pitää saada ympärilleen ihmisiä, jotka auttavat sinua eteenpäin. Petteri Viljanen, PCB Medicalin toimitusjohtaja.
Hello. Well, thank you for being back, and welcome back to the Finance Day Finland. After having heard very interesting things, we have even more interesting topics to cover in the next hour or so. We will have namely the European Innovation Council and the Enterprise Europe Network. In the next 40 minutes, we are going to focus on the European Innovation Council. It's a flagship instrument which is already up and running under Horizon Europe, which is the current European Research Framework Program. The ESC supports game-changing innovations with direct equity investments from early stage to scale up with a budget of more than 10 billion euros. I'm very pleased to introduce our speakers. Ecke van Vliet from the European Innovation Council Fund at the ESMEA Executive Agency. Minna Lisvori, who works for the ESC Investments Services at the DIB. And finally, Mr. Vicente Calvo Alonso, which is CEO of Complex Solutions, a company funded by the ESC. So I give the floor to Ecke for his remarks.
Very good. I will stand up, and then, well, the stage is until here. But I will do like this, then I can't fall down. So welcome. I mean, that has been already said several times today. My name is Ecke van Vliet, and I'm working in service of the European Commission, which is called ESMEA, a bit difficult to remember. But mainly I'm busy with the, say, EIC Accelerator, the European Innovation Council Accelerator. And this accelerator is part of the European Innovation Council. And what does the European Innovation Council stand for? It stands for supporting deep tech innovation from low TRL levels, the levels which were shown by Business Finland, to, say, bringing products and solutions to market, the higher TRL levels. So we have a program which has 3 parts. The first part is called Pathfinder, that is for lower TRLs. I will show this here. Pathfinder, so from TRL 1 to 4. And then Transition, which is 3 to 6, I believe, or what do we write here? Yes. And then, say, really our, well, most prominent initiative is the accelerator, because of the Pathfinder and Transition can be for, say, or are for combinations of organizations, SMEs, corporates, universities. But the accelerator is just focused on SMEs alone. And how do we, say, organize now the distribution of the funding which we have available? We have a standing application procedure. Consortia can all the time submit proposals of any kind, of any geography in Europe. But at the same time, each year we will also formulate certain challenges which have a certain focus, and then which have an indicative budget. You see these challenges here, but the purpose is to really guide the applications which are submitted by the applicants into a certain direction where we think support is relevant and needed. As I said, the most prominent instrument is then the ESC Accelerator. And what are we looking for is, SMEs with high impact innovations, which still require a certain time before it can be brought to market, and building on, say, previous scientific discoveries. And as I said, it can take a long time. It also many times requires significant amounts of funding. Think about the health care sector. At this moment, we have, since the end of 2019, accepted more than 700 SME proposals, and 40% of them are related to health. I'm critically looking at what I'm going to present, because of I started to speak about, say, my role, but we also have here a colleague of the EIB, Minna, who will then elaborate on certain aspects. And we have also a representative of Computech, which is one of the SMEs supported by the ESC Accelerator. and we will also get their story. And by the way, we have at least one other EAC accelerator company here in the room. Maybe I can give a prize who can discover it, but the person already raised the hand. She's in the back. It is Charlotte from Curifil Labs, also raising money by the way. So, because if I come to this slide now, we know then that Computech, for instance, has received blended finance, and you will get the story of Computech later on. And we can give under the so-called blended finance facility equity up to 50 million and also grants up to 2.5 million. A company can also apply for grant first, the orange case, and that was the case, for instance, of Curifil Labs, because of, I don't know if Curifil Labs said it or if the jury said it when looking at the proposal of Curifil Labs. If a company is too early to be invested into, but has interest to get equity support later on, we then have, well, a variant where we say, okay, we give first the grant, and later on we will discuss the equity aspect, but in principle, you are eligible if you satisfy certain conditions. So that is the element of grant first. And then a third variation is grant only, where companies apply just for the grant but are not interested in the equity because they can raise this themselves, they are convinced of. Then, let's see, I think I've nearly finished my slides already, so that's very good. Are there any questions or so? Or are there any other, say, SMEs here in the room? I'm very interested in. Yeah, the one SME, okay. So, two, yeah. And the investors, because what we usually do as EIC is also try to do a certain matchmaking between, say, the SMEs in need of a certain finance and investors. So, for instance, Mina, she told me that certain investors will be here. So who are kind of potential candidates of for helping Computech or Curifil Labs? That is what I would be very interested in to know. There is one hand behind you, Charlotte. So, but maybe you know each other already. Anyhow, this is not such a matchmaking event, but I just wanted to indicate that it's very important that the SMEs get financing, but also, well, kind of support around this to help them with this, but also with business development and other things. And we as ESC take for a part, together, by the way, with the EIB, care of this. Then, this, I think, well, are the highlights then what do the investment component and grant component exactly entail in certain detail. The main message is that the EIC never wants to be a majority shareholder. So on average we have maybe a stake of 10% in companies, but not more. So that is an important element, and also that we always work together with lead investors, private lead investors preferably, who are supposed to not only bring funding, but also additional support now and also in the future. Yeah, I think I can give now the floor to Mina. I've finished. Yeah.
So, just a second, I'll get to my presentation, then I will. Okay. I guess it's not the morning, so good day, everyone. My name is Minna Leisvuori. I'm representing EIB here and a specific team, EIC Investment Services, who are dedicated to basically implement what Eke was just telling you a moment ago. And we have one of our beneficiaries here today, which will hopefully explain, in practice how it's been the journey with us so far. But I'll try to be very concrete and explain how we actually do the program implementation. But happy to take any questions. I'll keep it in English now, but afterwards, happy to take also questions in Finnish or continue afterwards in the corridors. Thanks. So I'm just trying to very briefly walk you through, how are we organized, how you, or if there are any beneficiaries here other than Comtech as a company, or if there are any co-investors, how you can benefit from our existence, explaining very shortly that what's the investment scope, principles that we're doing on behalf of the fund, and what is the role of actually the EIB, because this is something that we quite often get the questions that, how do we link into, and what is the setup for the fund. So hopefully it's a little bit more clear after this one for some of you who have questions there too. And of course, we're very happy to explain some of the success cases that we have so far, and we believe that there are far more many in the makings that since we are about the halfway only on the program. But in the interest of time, I just go very quickly here. So we are about a 4 billion agnostic VC fund, to very same way as many other VC funds. So we don't select necessarily or define what's the future going to look like, but the companies who are getting funding and access to it come from very broad range that we will see in later on. But the connecting word here is the deep tech. So they need to be deep tech companies that are eligible to receive funding through the EIC fund. There is a quite competitive process. You will see that probably in the next few slides. And how the EIB links into this one is that, well, we are the advisor to the actually the EIC fund. So we follow the EIC investment guidelines, which are given to us, and then there are separate specialists which are called the tech due diligence specialists. There is a network of 2,000 experts that the commissioner, the EISMEA, is handling, and they are always tailored case by case for each of the investments, so that we as a kind of bankers or investors get the technological support that we need into looking into that specific niche, oftentimes very unique, and we wouldn't, even if we had a far more bigger team, we wouldn't be able to cover reliably as many sectors and companies that are coming to the portfolio. As mentioned, we can do investments up to 50 million in one round or multiple rounds, but that's the current cap there. So far, there are around 700 companies which are selected for the program. We're about midway, so probably that will double up while we are ending the investment period. And at the time, we are multiplying our invest by 3. So it's not the same level as EIF, but we feel that this is quite actually efficient already at this point, and we see that there is a possibility to possibly increase it further once we start working more closely with our co-investors. Just briefly, how do the companies end up in the portfolio? There is, as mentioned by Eke, there is all the time open window for submit the applications for any company. Then there are obviously thousands of them every year. So it's almost 5% around gets through to the final stage. But they are based on a market criteria. There is a separate interview expert panel, which is actually going this week again, which we are participating, but we don't have a vote there in our team. So we're just observers and, answer the jury members on any kind of questions that they might have on the funding side of specific candidates. And then the jury panel, decides, which of the companies actually are selected to the portfolio. But, only the 3 steps need to be passed in order to the case comes to our table. So, and that's where the kind of the joint path starts with the companies. And not just to make clear, it's not just funding, but there is also a number of other things involved, which is coaching. This is not by us, but there is a separate team and handled by the EISMEA and the colleagues there who are handling this. And then there is also other business acceleration services that come along with being selected to the program. But in order, to highlight, what are the companies that, come there, we hope that, we are able to bring to the market the same way as EIF does, European champions that have relevant offerings in global competitions. They are small companies, but they supposed to have high impact innovations, which can even transform markets that they are about to enter. But they need to come also from a scientific discovery and technological breakthrough point of view. And this is the deep tech part, what I was mentioning before. They would need to have a social, economic, environmental, climate impact somehow through their innovation, and they should also be addressing the policy priority areas if that's relevant for their business. So it's not just high tech, but it's deep tech. What we are interested in the profiles of the company who come there. So it's a very early stage. There was the thermometer with the TRL stages. So we are looking into normally from 6 upwards. But we have cases where we can actually just focus on companies who are doing the TRL 9, which is the market penetration. Sometimes this can be very, very cumbersome and also resource-consuming part of that as well. And they somehow made their way already there, but they need special support in actually getting to the market. And this is the scale-up part. But we are looking forward to doing this in collaboration with other investors. So it's really about the co-investment. We are not a standalone investor. And this is critical for the next point that I'm coming to. It's the valuation. We rely that, because we have these reputable co-investors on board, they are eligible for doing the actual valuation. Of course, we assess the valuation and the robustness there ourselves, but we don't actually give a quote there. But we can discuss it if there is some aspects that we find more questions to be answered. But we are overall, looking forward to be in line with the program, a patient capital. So we are trying to fill in the gaps where there is difficulties in the fundraising, and also trying to find ways throughout the life cycle of the investment that how we could patch up the kind of growth path into the market in many ways. And as said, we are not the majority owners. I think the ideal would be, around about 10 to 15, but we can go as high as 25 if there is a special angle or interest in the case that supports for that. Oh, so a little bit here, looking at the slide. But how does the EIB then looking into that? So we are the investment advisor, currently 33 colleagues of mine. And we are responsible for doing the DD. So once the company gets selected to the program, we start and reach out to the companies, usually quite often with the ASMEA people in a joint kickoff call, and start the due diligence. And then we, based on the due diligence, make an investment recommendation, which includes the amounts and the appropriate investment structures and overall to the EIC Funds Investment Committee. And if the proposal gets approved, then we start the negotiation process for the investment documentation in collaboration with the companies and obviously with the other co-investors that are participating to the round. And once the investment is done, we take care of the monitoring and reporting of the transactions to the EIC fund in principle, and sharing you, like today, to you as an audience, to what's the interim results, for example. And of course, when the time comes, we also give an opinion on the exit of individual transactions. I can't say if we had anything so far, but probably since we're starting to be now about 2 years up and running, at least probably towards the end of the year, early next year, it might be realistic that we have some exits already coming. But what we are not responsible, and this is maybe good to clarify for someone interested in applying funding from us, is that we are not doing the sourcing of the transactions, and which is coordinated by ASMEA. So we are participating to the jury panel discussions and give insight if we are asked to do so in those connections, but we are not selecting them. So it's truly the experts of specific technology areas that are doing the selection. And at least we feel that this works quite well. And the companies which are selected to our portfolio are screened already, very rigorously when they enter into our desk, basically. And of course, since there is the external fund manager and investment committee, we are not responsible of the investment decisions themselves. We can only recommend, but of course, it's up to the investment committee persons whether they agree on our recommendation or not, and they may need to amend, or even they can reject it if there are good grounds for that. And we are not doing either the back office functions, which is there is a separate administrator who is doing that, so we can focus mostly on just doing the transactions and taking care of them and supporting the companies. So that's in a nutshell, how we try to interlink into the process to the best of ability of the team. Here it's just, very, very, very narrow examples of what kind of investment we have made. But so far, 700 companies are selected for the program, whereof around 500 are selected for the equity investments, and then there is a couple hundred of the grant-only part that Eke was also mentioning before. And this is by end of June, and so by the end of June this summer we had made 133 investments with equity into the portfolio. So out of 700, some a bit more than 100 have received investments, and we had a very busy first half of the year, and we expect that by the end of the year this will look very much different to what we are, and we are meeting the deployment pace that we foresee and has been set to us, so it is roughly 500 million a year. So it's been a little bit catching up with the transactions, but now we're on the speed where we want to be. There is just a selection of few of the companies and the beneficiaries that have been selected to the program, but as said, there are a number of other ones which could have been easily be on the slide, but it would be just super crowded. Here you can see a little bit of the same, very many sectors, but as we are a patient investor and really trying to patch up the scientific parts and the spin-outs from there to the market, it's not a surprise maybe that there is so many companies coming from a health sector, meaning pharma and biotech. And it's not maybe that surprising either that quite a few of the companies are coming from the environmental, food and energy sector. And also, tomorrow's kind of hardware, new materials construction is already also a quite sizable part of the current portfolio. But of course, this might look a little bit different in a year's time, but all in all, very diverse portfolio, but also, I think, reflecting very well, where the gaps are at the moment and where, on the other hand, there are very good opportunities, but they just take time and funding to get to the market. Here you can see just a very few mentions of who we are actually investing in. So, all in all, if we look at the co-investors, there are more than 1,000 already investing alongside the EIC fund. Not maybe on the same rounds, but all together when we can sum up all the rounds that the companies have so far participated, they are everything between angel investors to, basic VC funds and corporate VC funds. Institutional investors and also industry-leading VC funds there as well. So ranging basically for almost all European countries, the US, and also outside there from Asia as well. A number of different kinds of players, and we also have today hopefully representatives from the local partner Stesi as well, which is a very important co-investor for us as well here in Finland, as well as the Finnish Climate Fund as well. With whom we share quite a number of transactions already in a portfolio, and probably, if I had to take a guess, going forward as well, we will be sharing some of the same transactions coming from the Finnish science into the market, hopefully in due course. But maybe in the interest of time, I'll stop here and happy to, hand the talk over to one of the stars, why we are here today, as Jani pointed out in his opening remarks. So happy to introduce you to one of our beneficiaries, which is the Finnish company called Comtech.
Thank you, Minna. So hello, I'm Vicente Calvo Alonso. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Comtech Solutions. Until now, today you have been listening to all the people managing the money. Now you are going to listen to somebody who is trying to get the money. It's a slightly different point of view. So we are Comtech Solutions. We are working in the semiconductor industry, a quite challenging one. In short, so we are a spin-off from a local university from the city of Turku. We were founded in 2017. We are at the moment 21, so it's growing all the time now, the head count. We have our own laboratories since day one. So since the moment we founded the company, we started building our own laboratories. We wanted to be separated from the university. And we have been developing a patent portfolio where at the moment we have 27 granted patents and in 5 families, and we are having 2 at the moment filed. We have developed a quite unique expertise in processing technology for semiconductors, for compound semiconductors, with a proprietary process that was developed at the university. And it's a technology that it helps to make chips better, to perform better, more efficiently, and also it can help to improve the manufacturing, so we can reduce the waste that is happening in the semiconductor industry. Just a snapshot of the labs, the type of equipment we are using, just to give you an idea what a deep tech company is, so no software. It's a lot of junk in there, very expensive equipment, something that, I mean, the ones that you are seeing here have been designed and built by our team. So because we could not afford to buy from the shop, let's say. And then we also, the need helps you it forces you to develop things that in the end become very useful. And for instance, characterization techniques, we have developed some systems that now our customers would like to implement into their labs because it's something that you cannot buy off the shelf. Our technology, and don't worry, it's only one slide. So compound semiconductor materials, they are used in optoelectronics, in power electronics, so lasers, LEDs, micro LEDs, detectors, all of them are made with these materials, but they tend to oxidize very quickly, so they generate a layer of amorphous oxides full of defects. You can imagine like holes, microscopic holes where the electrons are falling, so the chips are not performing well. And what we have done, we have found a way how to control this oxidation process to create very high quality, very stable oxides. And this is the first time ever that this has been proven in different materials, and that's kind of the novelty. When you apply this into chips, and here is an example of micro LEDs, we can increase the efficiency like 3 times. We can make the micro LEDs to light brighter and to start emitting light at much smaller current. So the performance increases a lot, which is really needed. And what is important is that if you make a chip more efficient, it means that you can reduce its size while keeping still the same properties. And if you reduce the size, it means that when you manufacture one wafer full of chips, you can put many more chips into that wafer. So to make the same volume, you will need to produce much less. And that's a huge impact to the environmental, because semiconductors is not the cleanest technology out there. So if you can reduce the amount of wafers that you produce, it will have a tremendous impact. Okay, so this is part of the pitch that we were trying to tell to the investors, and you can imagine what was happening, right, when we were starting. So we are a real deep tech. I mean, deep tech has been mentioned today quite often. To me, that's really deep tech. I mean, really go down to the physics, to atom level things, and so on. But it has huge risks because it's a new technology that you need to implement in existing fabs, which are running 24/7. You need to tell them and convince them, guys, you are doing it wrong. I have the solution for you. Stop your machines, put mine, and start producing. That's very high risk and very difficult to implement, right? Very high capex, like I showed you, the type of big coffee machines that we need to build to produce our technology, very expensive. So investors, when they see that, it's a bit like, where I pass. Then we need a lot of talent also. You need a specific people with very niche competences that is not easy to find. And when you find them, you need to attract them with a lot of money, especially if you are living in Turku, not even in Helsinki. So it's even more complicated. So that's also something that, is also a handicap. And then the long time to revenue. So in a business-to-business model like ours, where we are trying to sell this technology to chip manufacturers, since the first contact to try to implement this one, it takes a long time. So for me to sell a license, it could take several years. And if I sell a license, it's a multi-million license. I'm not going to sell thousands of licenses like software companies. I'm going to sell 10 maybe, but I'm going to make a lot of millions per year of a single license. But that is also not the most appealing thing for VCs. You know, when they see all the risks, when they want to start, and you tell them, I'm doing this micro nanotechnology, making the atoms go there and there, and say, oh yes, great, my colleague can help you. And this is how I was feeling many times. So how to finance a deep tech startup? So we have been listening today a lot of debt financing, a lot of different mechanisms. I have to say that debt financing for a small startup is not working. It's not working. So you need to start thinking very carefully from the beginning how you are going to find the money you need. There are two ways, of course, public, private. The public, we are talking about grants, we are talking about maybe loans, but the small amount loans. I mean, we will see later, we get a loan from, I have to say that we have been very active with the Finnish ecosystem, which is working very well if you have a proper business plan, a good idea, and you get support in certain level. So Business Finland, Finvera has been supportive, and we have been trying to play with both things. So we got also private investors in the beginning, seed investment, very small round. I think it was the first time was 350 or 400,000 euros, basically to buy just one small part of the one machine, basically. So you need to balance, and is what we did, try to figure out what we could get from where, at what terms. And that was leading us, basically, I will show you a little bit more in detail what we have been doing. But it's clearly that, and this is what investors are looking for, is that the best source of funding is your own revenue. The problem, like I said, in my business, getting to revenue is hard, it's very hard. Although we have managed already in the first years. In the first 5 years of the company, this is how it worked out for us. So we got public funding between loans and grants, 1 million approximately. From private equity, private VCs, 1 million. Our seed investors are local in venture, which might be quite well known for all of you. Then we have corporate investors, small investments, but very important for a technology company. Hamamatsu, for instance, is a Japanese, very well-known company, quite big company in optoelectronics. They made a very small investment in us, but they support in developing the technology with us. So it's speeding up a lot things, and it's giving a lot of credibility as well if they sit in your cap table. And then a local other company, Equity Solutions, also a small company. But during these 5 years, the other part of funding was revenue. So we managed to generate a bit over 2 million in revenue in the first 5 years. But the problem is that in a company, in an industry like ours, in 5 years, 4 million, if you need to make a lab, you need to develop equipment, you need to hire people, that's not enough. I mean, you can go in this, let's say, speed for some time, but you cannot grow. You cannot develop what you need to develop. We analyze, of course, what are the opportunities. Debt loans, not big enough. They were not even giving us because our recurring revenue was not so in the good level. So we could forget about that. So we said, okay, EIC, European Commission. So let's go for it was Horizon 2020 first, and then it changed to Horizon Europe. I said it was first because we have been trying for several times. So this is a bit the timeline and the financing, how it has been for us. So like I said, we started the company in 2017, and we got the first loan from Business Finland. And it was very helpful because it helped us to start building our first machine. Then we got the phase 1 grant of the Horizon 2020, which was 50K, so no big money either, but at least it was the first mandatory step to go for the second phase. And we got some smaller grants from the Business Finland and so on. In 2019, we got the Seal of Excellence, and we were using a consultancy, what quite often happens. I mean, when you go to the EIC, most of the companies are using consultancy, so we did also the same. In 2020, we got again Seal of Excellence. We managed to the meeting, but we didn't get the grant. And then it was changing from Horizon 2020 to the Horizon Europe program. Completely new application, completely new rules. And we decided to go again, but not consultants anymore. We will do it ourselves because, well, we are so good. No, we said, okay, let's do it because, well, personally, I didn't like too much the content and the approach that the consultants were putting into our business plan. It was very marketing, but not the substance was missing, in my opinion. So we said, okay, we have failed 2 times. Let's go now on our own. Let's see what happens. And finally, we in 2021, well, we filed and we managed to make it work. So we got the grant approved, 2.4 million, and 1 million equity, a small equity part. Why? Because we didn't have investors at that time. So we knew it's a matching. So, and actually there is a very interesting anecdote, is that we were lucky because our goal was in principle to ask for more equity part. But in the application, in the template, we made a mistake because it's not so easy to fill in. So we forgot to put the additional part. So we only put the 1 and we were missing the 4 other ones. Okay? And we went to the interview and we explained that. And they said, okay, very good, yeah. But then it was approved and it was approved for 1 million. Okay, but we were happy anyway. We were very, very happy. It was a huge milestone for the company because it was for the first time we could see so much money together that will help us to develop the type of things that we need to do. And that otherwise it will be impossible. Because we have been, by the way, during these 5 years, we have been fundraising constantly. So that image of me blowing into the back, it was every month several times. So it was tough. What it meant, the getting the grant and getting the contract, the term sheet from the EU. Well, first, it's not like they said. It's not only the grant. There are other things. So there are pitching events, like for instance, one we attended, the EIC Investor Day on software and hardware in Lisbon, and I went there. To be honest, not very motivated. I was expecting. I mean, getting used to blow in the back, I thought, well, it's going to be more of the same. But anyway, I'll go there. And actually, in there was the first time I discussed with Eke. It was about the possibility to raise the amount of equity from 1 to a bit higher amount, if I could match it with an investor. Because now at that time, we were also negotiating with a customer the possibility to become investor also in the company. So I was trying to put all the pieces together. And Eke was very positive, actually, because he also, after my pitch in the event, he came to me and he was saying, hey, yeah, why don't you try to get for more? And I said, well, yeah, for sure. I'll try to go there. So, and in there, I met one of the investors that, it helped us to close a round this year for €1 million, where we have the EIC as co-investor, a US corporate who is our customer, and then Lyft, which is an Italian VC who has been co-invested with the EIC several times, apparently. So for us, this has been now, as I said, a huge year. Now for the first time, we can speed up developments. That without this EIC accelerator program, it will have been very, very difficult. Now, about the key takeaways about the EIC program, what it means for a company. Well, it's a time-consuming process. That's something that you need to be decided to do. And I guess that's why many people just put it into a consultant. When we did it, I believe that the template has changed again. But at least when we did it, it was this AI platform with a lot of steps to follow. And it was in 2 phases. The first phase was approximately 10 pages. The second phase, when we fill it in and we print it out, was 67 pages of business plan. So you need to understand very well your business. You need to have a very clear idea what you are going to do, what you are selling, and how you are going to be making money, and what you want to achieve. And for that, I think the best one to do it is yourself, not a consultant. They are not going to be learning your business that you have been trying to develop for 5 years in 1 month, in 1 meeting, and then trying to make an application for the European Union. So in this, and I know that there are a lot of companies, and maybe some companies even sitting here, I don't know, sorry for that, but it's very difficult. It's very difficult. So in here, I will definitely recommend to companies to do it on yourself, because even if you don't manage to achieve it, you will learn a lot of things because it forces you to think about your business. There are questions that, I didn't consider this one. So you need to start thinking because you need to fill in something. So it helps you, it does. So I think it's great. So, and why to apply? Well, clearly if you get a grant, it's a lot of free money and a big amount of free money. So that's for companies like ours that otherwise is difficult to find, is clearly one of the opportunities there. You need to think about your own business. Once you get it, it increases the visibility because of all these side events, publicity, local and specialized magazines, whatever. You start getting a lot of contacts that before they were ignoring you. So now they are reaching out. And also it's easier to get further funding, like in our case. Okay, we were having now the customer who wanted to invest as well, but having the EIC, it immediately reduces the risk from other VCs. So it helps them to make the decision. Okay, well, we don't need to put so much money, or whatever we put, they are going to get double with a very friendly term sheet, by the way, from the EIC. So, and yeah, I think that's basically what I wanted to say today. If you have any questions, I definitely recommend it. As I said, it's tough, it's difficult. For us, it took us 3 times, but you have a lot to win and pretty nothing to lose, because if you are applying, you have nothing. So it's nothing else. So it's good. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, Vicente, and thanks to all the speakers. I think the perspective was really interesting, because seeing the point of view of the companies, really like how they managed to get into the process, was quite interesting. Is there any questions from the audience on this? Otherwise, we have a lunch break after the next panel, so we can you can also put questions there. No, so that I thank the speakers for their very interesting session, and I invite to the floor the 2 final speakers, Maja Karkas and Paul Lindqvist. Because in the final session today, we are going to cover the various forms of support to businesses, in particular to SMEs, under the Single Market Program, which has been designed to help EU single market reach its full potential and ensure Europe's recovery from the COVID pandemic. One of its goals is to strengthen the competitiveness of the EU industry, especially of SMEs. And in this session, we will have 2 speakers today. The first one is Maja Karkas, who works at the Enterprise Europe Network in the Helsinki Region Chamber of Commerce. And Maja will tell us about the experience with the Enterprise Europe Network. So, Maja, the floor is yours.
Kiitos. I'm changing the language to Finnish again. Vaihdetaan tosiaan vielä vähän näkökulmaa.
Okay, let's look at a new point of view. Let's not only look at financing, but let's look at practical services for SMEs.
How does this work? Joo, mä puhun ensin.
Okay, first of all, I would like to talk about the Enterprise Europe Network, and then I would like to talk about European IB service, which is also offered by the European Commission. The EEN is a network for companies that are becoming more international. We function in over 40 countries, and we have lots of organizations cooperating with us. The activity is funded by the Commission at the EU region, and also Finnish actors and Business Finland, the Chamber of Commerce of the Helsinki region, and also Turku Science Park. And we have different organizations here. Usually they are public or half public, and of course several chambers of commerce from different countries from abroad. Sorry, there's one slide missing. Okay. So in Finland, there are 3 organizations of us, 16 experts, and in 8 locations. Rovaniemi is missing from this map right now. And from abroad, we have colleagues that look like this. These organizations are co-operators of us in this activity. Now, internationally, you can see, oh, these are old slides. So there are more of us, actually, not only 39 countries. There are over 39 countries that take part in this process. So what do we offer? Actually, we have two main services, which include many other services. We offer advice, we offer information, and we help SMEs to find their potential cooperators from abroad. So when we give advice on how to become international. We give advice on legal services and legal matters. And we also give advice on sustainable development. We help them change their business activities so they become more accountable. And we can help them in the analysis of innovation ideas. So we can help them think about how they could become more innovative and how they could improve their performance by becoming more innovative. We also help in digitalization matters. With EDIH, we are in cooperation. So this is the European Digital Concentration agent, and we also give information about EU financing, and we help companies become more resilient, for instance, by finding new
Asiakaslähtöisesti
provider chains. We then help companies in all the different stages of their growth, and we also have them at the center of our company, of our activity. We always keep in mind also what their limits are. So we keep in mind the international growth of these companies and the limited size of these companies. So sometimes we understand that some services should not be free but should be charged. For instance, if we have legal experts or other experts working on the team. Here you can see some of our future events that have been programmed. Unfortunately, these are old slides, so
have some other events coming up, so maybe the updated slides could be available to the public later on. Joo, eli tapahtumia on tullut vielä lisää paljon sen jälkeen.
We have planned many more new events after these slides were drafted, but most of our events are organized as webinars because it's really practical, and but we also have some on-site events. Then I wanted to talk about this business contact pool. So how you could look for business contacts. We have two tools. One of them is this pool. So there's a database actually, which is a database where we have 5,500 profiles included. I mean, most of the cases, own products are offered or own services, and we look for distributing channels too. But there are also requests. For instance, someone could be looking for a subcontractor or for something that they could purchase. And I recommend you have a look at this if you need or if you're interested, for instance, when it comes to benchmarking what is going on your own field. You might find some interesting profiles, or if you are looking for someone who you could cooperate with from abroad. So if you find an interesting profile, then you can get in touch with the contact through our network, because these contacts or these profiles are not named. You can't see their information. And then if you want to set up your own profile, you can also turn to us. And so you can get in touch with the Finnish EEN team. Now, matchmaking events, we organize these too, and very often these are organized in the framework of international fairs. If you are going to an international fair, it would be a good idea to to make appointments with some companies in advance. And of course, many of these are online events, which also offers a great opportunity to get in touch for the first time with a potential partner abroad. And after that, you can continue with your negotiations and meet face to face. And these online events are organized in such a way that companies have to register to these matchmaking organized to events, and then they have to set up their profile. They have to talk about their activities. They have to say what kind of cooperation they are looking for or offering, and then from the platform of the event, you can find other interesting companies and then get in touch with them. And of course, then you can accept or refuse any invitations. This is a great way of starting negotiations with future partners. Here you can see some figures which talk about our customer volume in during our previous financial period. So 886 Finnish companies used our services, etc. And here you can see some contact details. And this is another important thing. So the European IP Help Desk, as we know currently, the bulk of the ownership of companies is immaterial, it's untangible, and then it is important to safeguard the intellectual property and the untangible property. The European IT Help Desk is offered by the Commission, and the aim is for SME companies and for EU investment beneficiaries with regards to immaterial rights can become more important and bigger, and so that you can be offered specific services related to this. Here you can see in a nutshell what we offer, and if we look at this closely, you can see that through networks you will find very practical guides on different themes, starting from what you should take into account when you choose an IP expert. And the idea of this service is not broad enough to replace the expertise of IP activities. This is just a way of helping you grow. And then, of course, you need to be in touch with IP agents. And here you can see some charts on how these processes function, and that we organize lots of webinars. These are 2-3 hour long webinars, free, and they cover very many different topics. And there are some e-learning modules too, which you could very well take advantage of on different subjects. And just to end, this is my favorite slide. We have a pool of IP experts. You can ask them specific questions. You can get specific advice in a confidential matter for your own problems and your own field. I work as the liaison of this IP help desk in Finland, and I give advice. But sometimes when I feel that I or my Finnish colleagues are not maybe good enough to offer good enough advice, well, in that case, with the consent of companies, I've been in touch with this helpline, and from there I get high quality help. And this actually does not belong to our remit, to our scope, so it goes beyond it. But please, they tell us, take this and this into account, and this advice has been very helpful. So you can get in touch with them directly, or you can get in touch with me. And this is not all, but we have other IP services in other countries, which are similar to those which are offered in the EU. Thank you. And now I would like to pass on the baton to our customer company, to our EEN customer company, who will talk about its own experience. Thank you. As you can see, I am not Tanja Honblom, but because she is in Tallinn in a fair. Okay, so I am the founder of the Environmental Impact Academy, and I would talk for a couple of minutes about what we do and why. Afterwards, I would like to talk about
Europe Network
how Enterprise Europe Network has helped us. And then I would like to talk about financing from our point of view and from the point of view of other companies. And all these elements are related to each other, of course. So Environmental Impacts Academy teaches people in companies to make life cycle assessments, environmental life cycle assessments. So what does this really mean? Well, these environmental life cycle assessments are a scientific method which has existed for several years now, and it helps you assess the life cycle of a product or a services, so its impact on the environment. So not only greenhouse gas emissions are taken into account, but also biodiversity, the consumption of water, and the use of raw materials is taken into account. All of these elements are taken into account in the assessment. So we look at the whole impact across the whole life cycle. We could also talk about the value chain of the company. So raw materials, production, manufacturing, logistics, transportation, distribution, if there are retailers, and then the use.
Meillä tässä on.
For instance, with a remote control, this uses, of course, a battery and electricity, therefore, and then we have an end-of-life phase assessment too, that is disposal and recycling. So all of these are taken into account when assessing the impact on the environment. And with this information, companies are able to understand their own environmental impact, and they can get all the information they need for EU reporting purposes so that they can comply with the EU reporting standards, ESG, ESD, taxonomy, etc., etc. And so this helps them comply with all their EU obligations. So what do we do? That was a scientific method which exists. We haven't invented it. So what we do is we train companies. And our message is everyone needs an impact assessment. All need an environmental life cycle assessment. Every single company needs this. So let's start from Europe. We already have companies in 10 European countries. From our very birth, we have been global. Our products are different. We have a training product, which is our star product. So people learn they learn how to make a life cycle assessment in a training which takes 2 weeks. It is an intensive training with world leading experts. After that, since people learn by doing, we help these people after learning. We have a 8-week project so that they can make their assessment with us, with our help, with the help of our services, and we provide the services they need. And we will get a learn yourself training program too soon. So how does Enterprise Europe Network help? We have a contact person. Oti is our colleague. And she has been actively in touch with us. She has given us advice. She has given us tips. Hey, there's this event coming. Are you going to participate it? And so, for instance, we belong to this catalog of enterprises. So are you going to take part in matchmaking events, for instance? So we got a tip for this World Shop Economy Forum, which was organized in May in Helsinki this year. We participated in it. We were visitors, actually. And there are all kinds of interesting tips they offer us. Actually, Oti has helped us find a customer too. So it has proven really helpful and useful. I recommend it warmly. So let's look at funding. If there's a lot of money, of course, give me some. But really, now seriously, we are a small company. We have a huge mission, nevertheless. And we are international, so we do not need financing for becoming international because we are international already. Everything that we have functions online. We do not need very much money because we do not invent, we do not have products that have to be manufactured. We do not have to make product development projects that take lots of years. What we have to do is sell and market, commercialize so that we can grow faster, because with financing, with revenue financing, we can live, of course, but we won't grow as fast as we would like to. And for tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of euro fund investments, it's not easy to find investors. So this is something I would like to get across to all of you who can make an impact on this. Well, okay, this is regarding what we need. So how does this whole thing impact on financing matters in general? When companies apply for financing, and we have talked about green financing and digitalization. Well, when it comes to digitalization, well, that's not as important for us as the green part. When companies make for their products or for their whole company a life cycle assessment, they can state, for instance, that this company is taking the environment seriously into account and they understand what their own impact on the environment is. And based on that, they can make a plan. So we will do this and this and this.
On sitten tämä.
And the assessed impact is such and such.
Tämän
So
analyysin kanssa menee
this analysis allows you to go to a financer, a funder, and I understood it should be easier to get a funding, or you should be able to get funding with easier conditions. So this is all on my side, and I would like to send you regards from a small company that has a big mission, and this is me. Now, if you have your smartphone with you, you can zoom on the QR code, and you can get in touch with us. Please do so.
Swedish, Spanish, other languages are a bit shaky. Yeah?
Question from my side. I mean, how many colleagues are there, and what is the microphone for the interpreters? So it's what I'm from the guarantee side, but I would be interested in understanding how many colleagues you are and how big you want to grow, because I think, if I understood correctly, your business model would be to replicate experts that can roll out your advice throughout the countries you are covering or cover more.
Yeah, we are currently 2 founders. We have a small team of people who help with sales part-time, and then we have 3 professors who do the teaching. They don't need to work very much because everything is prepared, and there's not many hours per training session that they need to do. So we are a small team. We want to grow. The place where we need to grow is in sales and marketing. So of course, digital marketing costs some money. Sales activities, being in contact, emailing and calling and so on, that costs. We need to pay people. We have so far trained 30 people during 1.5 years. The world needs millions of people who know how to do life cycle assessments within the next few years. So potential is big. And but I would say we have to do this in a controlled manner. So if you give us 100 million, I'll be happy, but it will not it will not bring the kind of be very efficient use of that.
Are there any other questions?
Yeah.
How do you find your customers? Is it because of regulatory reasons, or is it because of larger access to larger demand?
So far we have found our customers through active marketing and sales, because people don't know about us, so we need to tell them that we exist. And until now, the customers who have taken our training, they have been either environmental consultant companies or manufacturing companies which have environmental topics at the core of what they are doing. So regulation has not yet been pushing it, but we see a shift there. The companies are waking up to oh shit, CSRD is coming. So it's going to change, we hope.
Well, if there are no other questions, I think we can warm up the day. It's incredibly, we are perfectly on time. It's the first time in my life that I've seen something like that. So we would like to warmly thank you all for joining us this morning. We learned a lot about InvestEU with the European Innovation Council and the Single Market Property Enterprise Europe Network. We thank you for your engagement. It was a great pleasure to be with you today. And I would like also to thank all the speakers who did an excellent job today, and my colleague who helped organize this event today. Don't forget, please, to fill the short evaluation survey that you will receive by email in the next days, because the feedback will help us shape the next events. I would like to thank our participants for following also the web stream. So big thanks to our participants online. And thank you very much finally for being here in Helsinki. We would like to now invite you for a light lunch here outside where you can continue to network. So thanks a lot for attending and goodbye.